most viral debate on the entire internet right now, and honestly, everyone in my chat is going crazy telling me to watch it. Honestly, Piers Morgan brought Nick Fuentes on his show, and this is cinema. I knew it was going to be amazing, and I'll tell you why. Because these are two very liberal people having a debate, like a meeting of the minds between two liberals, all right? Two leftists. All right, this is going to be insane. So, essentially, Piers Morgan posts this post of himself looking all cool, and Nick Fuentes looking whimsical. So Nick Fuentes responds with Piers Morgan looking like a fucking glorb. And realistically, that's as good as the debate is probably going to get. I'm kidding. I have no idea what it's going to do. So I'm going to give you all the lore that happened over the last, like, 2 days. Elon Musk tweeted about Nick Fuentes that Nick Fuentes is a Fed. The reason why he tweeted this is for multiple... There are multiple reasons, but this is a video of Nick Fuentes on January 6th, 2021, you know, the Capitol riot, of Nick Fuentes directly telling his followers to break down barriers and disregard the police.
Keep moving towards the Capitol! We are getting the Capitol back! And don't relax!
Yeah! Right.
And disregard the police! Capitol belongs to...
Yeah, so the obvious question is, how is it that this dude was never arrested or charged when so many of the January 6th guys were actually arrested? There was also this entire thread that came out talking about how the reason why Nick Fuentes gets so much traction on Twitter and other platforms is because bots are like from foreign governments. Are pushing him, and it's this whole thing. And I'm only showing this because people ask me about it. You know what my personal opinion is? My personal opinion is that Nick Fuentes is not a Fed. I think he's a genuine guy. What a lot of people are not willing to mention, and this is true, is that Nick Fuentes is actually a Jewish agent. All right, which is why we'll be calling him Shlomo from this moment forward. So I am very excited to show you that I actually predicted how this debate was going to go. So I'm very excited to see. If I was correct with my prediction. So I'm going to show you this little clip. This was clipped for me a few days ago on my stream, and I'm very excited to see if I'm accurate. All right, honestly, because I know he's going to have Nick Fuentes, and I'm just predicting what that debate is going to be like. All right, I'm predicting the debate. The debate is going to be, you're clearly anti-Semitic. Nicholas, you're clearly anti-Semitic. I've seen a clip of you saying you wanted to execute the perfidious Jews. And then Nick is going to be like, well, actually, it was hyperbole. It was actually hyperbole. I wasn't actually intending to do anything like that. But you still said it to your face. Do you disavow your previous statements? Do you disavow it? Why don't you disavow it? I'm not going to disavow it because, honestly, it's a joke. And I don't care. You can't censor me. This is quite hateful and bigoted, young man. You're hateful and bigoted. You are bigoted and hateful. Right, so my prediction is that is going to be the entire debate. We're going to watch it. It's going to be exciting. To be honest, I expect Nick Fuentes to absolutely destroy him. Realistically, this is kind of how I think it's going to go. I want to make this very clear. I'm dropping my predictions now because this debate just happened an hour ago. So, definitely not pre-watched. But this is how I think it's going to go.
Guys, what if we're the bad guy?
All right, I want to make it clear that is exactly how I expect this to go. He's going to be like, Nicholas, are you racist? And Nick is going to be like, yeah, I am racist. What of it? That's my prediction. All right, lock in. This is going to be diabolical. A lot of people are going to say, Nux, what do you mean? We hate both of them, or we love both of them, or we love one of them. My stance is simple. My stance is I go where the retards are. And I'm very excited to see what we get. Nick is going to obliterate this guy. It's not even close. He's going to hit him with, like, the boomer slop. You're actually racist, and it's over.
Whether you're a New York Times reader, NPR fan, and Daily Wire subscriber, or an avid consumer of all things Tucker Carlson, for several months now, there's been no avoiding the subject of Nick Fuentes. And let's be clear, the main reason you're hearing about him is because he's popular. A large number of people, especially young men, are interested in what he has to say.
Yeah.
What that says about our society and our culture is the subject of ferocious debate. For many people, it's a grave indictment of an insidious immorality. For others, he's a product of a culture which has turned on its own and left many young people feeling listless and bitter.
I mean, that's just objectively true. The reason why people watch Nick Fuentes is because the country absolutely shits on young white men. It's super obvious, actually. Are you kidding me? It's so obvious. Of course that's why he's popular. You failed white men, and now you've created Nick Fuentes. This is all your fault.
either a litmus test for right-wing hypocrisy on free speech or a walking, talking manifestation
Hypocrisy? Bro, hypocrisy?
of where the line should be drawn. And a frankly preposterous amount of airtime has been spent on debating everything from his ideology to his sexuality and whether anyone should actually talk to him at all.
Bro, he's gonna ask him if he's gay.
If I were writing a glossary on
Oh my god, how long is this introduction? Holy shit, there's no way. How long is he gonna do this? Nick Fuentes responds to the double game, shows background, acts... Bro, he spends 20 minutes on Nick Fuentes' background before even getting into it? I know his background. Nick Fuentes started doing politics, he got backstabbed by Jews, and then he started blaming everything in society on Jews, okay? Alright, so, here, 1856, Piers Morgan asked Nick Fuentes if his father's views made him racist. Bringing up his father? Bro, that's some slimy shit. That is some slimy shit. That's what you're starting.
You said this. We're looping. You said this already.
But you haven't really directly, I think, responded to it, which is whether your father would not take you to certain
Don't skip. I'm just skipping the intro. I'm going to watch the whole rest of it.
restaurant chains because he associated them with black Americans. Is that true?
Well, see here, if you're in America, you would say that Olive Garden is not real Italian food. Applebee's, TGI Fridays, this stuff is a load of crap. My dad was just a food snob, but no, it's got nothing to do with that. My best friend in first grade was a black guy. We're not a racist family. So
okay, so when you told
no.
the story, I'm just curious. So when you told that anecdote, which clearly on the face of it is racist, right? You're basically saying your father made racist decisions about where you would go as a family to eat.
Bro, are you fucking kidding me? Bro, when I go to a sushi chef, if there isn't when I go to a sushi place, if there isn't a Japanese guy behind the counter, I'm immediately gonna think it's gonna be bad. Okay, this isn't being racist, all right? This is just I want to eat good sushi. Okay, like you've got it. Like you like these people are so fucking pathetic. This is why the boomers can never win. They're so afraid of being labeled racist. They're gonna actually go against reality.
Are you saying? No. Well, I'm just going to ask you a question. Are you saying that when you told that story, you didn't mean to infer that he was racist? And do you understand why when somebody like me reads that anecdote for the first time, as I did this week, I reach a different conclusion?
Well, I understand what you're doing, which is a sort of making of a murderer. How did he become racist? Well, his father didn't eat an Olive Garden because he said that's not real Italian food. Hang on, can I?
I'm literally reminding you of something you said on your show, which led me to conclude a certain thing. If I'm wrong, tell me.
Yeah, it was said in jest as a humorous anecdote, and now you're trying to spin it into a narrative, which is his parents are racist. He comes from a long line of racists. And I think everybody knows my parents are boomers. God. And these people come, well, you're a boomer, I guess, too.
True.
60. Right? You were born in what, 19? Yeah, so you're a
boomer.
Bro,
60? I could have sworn he was at least 70.
Also. Or maybe you're a Gen Xer. I suppose it's sort of on the cusp. But it's a humorous anecdote. These are kind of the attitudes of baby boomers in society, but you're trying to spin it into a narrative, which is you're a product of your environment. Your dad's racist because of this joke. Now you're a racist. And I don't think that's a fair characterization.
Okay. People can make their own minds up. They can go back and listen to you say it. I mean, the beauty of what I'm going to talk to you about in this interview is that almost all of it is just going to be reminding you what you have said.
Oh my God, he's literally just going to do clip farming for the entire video. He's just going to pull up a clip. Here's the video. Here's the clip where you said that Jews are actually controlling society. Do you in fact believe this? And he's just going to say yes. He's going to bring up a clip. And, well, this is a clip of you saying that black people are violent. Do you believe this? And then he's going to say yes. Bro.
You knew what you meant. Your position about that story is
the epic battle. It's retard versus cuck in a battle to the death. What is happening?
It was a joke, okay? I want to come to something else you said. This is where you talk about Jews, women, and blacks. Take a listen.
Bro, no way. He's literally pulling up the clip I was thinking of.
Always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Oh my God.
And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Okay.
Bro, it's obviously hyperbole. How could you see that clip and not think he's being hyperbolic? He doesn't think no women should ever have the right to speak, obviously. This is pathetic, man. Come on. Nick Fuentes has some actual views that are diabolical. You're gonna hit him with this fucking hyperbolic bullshit?
Would you like to clarify what you meant there?
That's all true. That's 100% true.
This is literally exactly what I saw, man. This is exactly what I said. He's just gonna pull up a clip. He's gonna say, what do you think of this? And he's just gonna double down.
Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Bro.
Yeah. Yes.
Bro.
Well, all of them?
No, for the most part.
He literally said for the most part.
Pardon me, what percentage of American blacks would you like to see in prison?
Whatever the percentages of the murderers. I think it's 1 in 20 black men will commit a murder in their lifetime. So maybe let's say that 5%.
I love how he immediately goes after the black should be in prison for the most part, but he clearly skips the Jews running society and women should shut the fuck up comment. Very cool, Piers. Dude, this is diabolical. Actually, why don't you debate the guy? Is this going to be a clip show?
Oh, so you're talking about black people who murder people?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Quite honestly, I think it's violent people in general. In my opinion, I think violent people, like people that are actually in fear that they might commit murder, should go to jail forever too. Like people that are violent and mentally ill, they should not be in public society either.
But yeah.
But you didn't say that.
That's
You
the
just
crime
said
problem.
blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. You didn't clarify. You were talking about black murderers.
Right.
Oh my God.
No,
This-
you're right. That's
what
a good
is
addition
this?
to that. That's a great point.
You think it's funny or?
But yeah, I do.
I'll
I
tell
think
you what's funny is how pathetic this entire conversation has been.
it's hilarious. I
Oh
think
my
it's totally
God.
true.
Do you think a black
Dude, Piers, you are such a cuck. It's crazy. It's crazy. Why don't you press him on like the actual points? You're gonna sit here and be like, oh my God.
American would find it funny? You think that blacks should be imprisoned for the most part?
Blacks are my biggest fans. I get high fives all the time. They say, Nick Fuentes, I love your show. They agree with me. And you want to know why? Here's the difference. Black people.
Oh my God, someone in my chat just said, title the video, Jew reacts to Nick Fuentes. Yeah, bro, I'm very excited for them to get to the Jew parts. I'm sure he's gonna do like Holocaust denial shit and all that too.
people are the most victimized by other black people. You think black people want to live in the hood and the ghetto and get shot all the time? That's what happens in the south side of Chicago. You should come here. I'll take you there. We could go to Garfield Park.
I went
go
to Chicago
Inglewood.
University for a year, actually, several years ago.
Yeah, that's a bubble. That's a bubble. You think you're in
Oh
Chicago
my
and
God, he's like, I've been to Chicago. I've been to Chicago University. He hasn't been to the ghetto. You don't know what it's like. This is insane, man. Like this is the difference. Like I don't think Nick is right about everything. In fact, I think he's wrong about a lot of pretty important details. But you're literally lying, Piers. You're a liar. You're a liar because you're afraid you'll be called racist. Yes, black communities in America are more violent than white communities. That's an objective fact. Statistically, 13% of the population committing 50% of the violent crimes is an objective fact, bro.
Hyde Park, you don't know Chicago. Go a little bit west, see what it's like over there. And I'll tell you, black people agree with me because they're tired of it too. And maybe not most of them, but a lot of them agree with what I say about that because they know how it is. That's why the first thing they do when they make a little bit of money is they go and leave to another neighborhood.
Okay, so what was
They don't stick
just remind
around.
me again, the percentage of black men who commit murder in America. What was the percentage you gave me?
It's 1 in 20. 1 in 20.
It's 1 in 100.
No, it's 1 in 20.
No, less than 1 in 100 black US men commit murder. That's the most up-to-date crime statistics in America.
That's not true. I've seen other statistics. They say 1 in
have?
20 will eventually commit a murder. I have.
Your rate means that you're saying that 5 times as many black men commit murder as the official crime statistics say.
Yeah, there's a report, I believe, on X by Data Hazard. I'll have to go and double check that.
Look, I mean, statistics are all skewed. It's really hard to know at this point because they call black people white people in the crime statistics. They let people go. They don't call different things murder. In fact, I actually had this pulled up for a separate video, but I can show it to you right now, actually, because I'm so good at this. I'm so good at this YouTube thing. This is a story about how a jury basically got a black guy off the hook because the white guy that he stabbed said the N-word after he was stabbed. A jury acquitted a violent black career criminal who admitted to stabbing a white man because the victim said the N-word after being stabbed, and they let him go. So realistically, no, I don't actually trust the stats, to be honest.
That for you. But yes, there's some pretty shocking evidence that says that it's far more alarming than you would think.
Okay, but you
Nick Fuentes hates you and want to kill you. Bro, I don't think he wants to kill me, nor hates me. I don't think he, thinks about me too much at all, to be honest. To be, I'd have a conversation with him. I think a lot of these people think that that just because I'm Jewish, and obviously we have very different views on Jews and Israel and stuff like that. Bro, what are we doing?
you would accept that the official crime statistics are 1 in 100, or you wouldn't accept that?
Yeah, but I totally doubt the fact. I totally doubt it's 1 in 20 black guys that are murderers, to be fair. I do think that it's maybe 1 in 20 that are violent criminals. I think that's more likely, but I definitely don't think that it's 1 in 20 that are actual murderers.
Statistic.
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, but I've seen other evidence. Like I said, Data Hazard on X, I believe, produced a report about a year ago. It said 1 in 20. But I mean, whether it's 1 in 20 or 1 in 100, that's a lot of people, Piers. I mean,
Sure,
this is
a lot of white
problem.
people commit murder too.
Oh my God, get out of
They
here.
do, don't they?
Okay, but it's about
But it's
proportionality.
less. But it's less. Oh my God, what is this?
I mean, white people are 65% of the population. Blacks are 13%. And I think anybody would tell you that more black people proportionally commit violent crime than white people. And people vote with their feet. People have much higher property tax.
most
Whoa,
mass
what's with the
shootings-
interruptions?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, you look at in Chicago, in
This
New
is
York,
so
these
sad.
neighborhoods are so stratified.
so
People would
fast.
rather pay a high tax rate. They'd rather pay a much higher property value to live in a less diverse, less black neighborhood because they don't want to live around the violence. And I think that when you look at even on the public transit, the subway, the blue line, you know, people don't want to go there because they know who occupies and menaces the public transit. It is
Bro, diabolical. All right, so I did the fact check. Black males apparently commit 29.2 murders per 100,000 people, whereas white males commit approximately 3.5 murders per 100,000 people. So when you say, well, black people commit murders and white people commit murders as well, we are talking at a 10 times order of magnitude in the United States. Now, one thing that I actually disagree with Nick Fuentes on heavily is Nick Fuentes seems to be of the impression that that people of different races have violence built into their genetics in a certain way, or have different genetic, affiliations when it comes to some are violent, some are this, some are that. I think it is more cultural in general than that. But anyway, that's just a point of discussion. But this is wild. Like, there's no way Piers doesn't know the straight fact that black people are committing more violent crimes than white people in America per capita.
These people like Daniel Penny had to deal with. It's people like Irina Zarutska had to deal with.
True.
And that's just the uncomfortable reality.
You've also said you don't want to live near black people. Let's take a listen to this clip.
I'm a new generation of white person. I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to marry. It's racial for me. And call me racist. Oh, very Christian of you. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, it couldn't be clearer, really, unless you want to say that's another of your jokes, but you're basically saying...
No, that wasn't a joke. He was totally serious.
I'm a racist, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You're fine with saying you're a racist?
Totally. I think everybody's racist.
That's why there's no way that Nick Fuentes is going to lose this debate, because he could just admit that he's racist and that's it. Not very Christian, I mean, but that's what he is. That's what he is. He's racist, and he says he's racist, and what are you going to do? Okay, so he said he's racist, and move on, and, like, what are we doing?
I think everybody, if we're being honest, is racist. I think everybody, the only people that aren't racist or pretend not to be are white people to their detriment. Everybody else is racist.
But earlier in the interview, you got aggrieved at the idea that your father was a racist. You wanted to make him... He's not.
Because my father doesn't share my same views on that.
So he's the exception to the everyone's a racist.
Oh my God, when he said everyone's a racist, there are obviously varying degrees of racism. What is this gotcha moment?
Well, everybody's a little bit racist. You're right. So maybe everybody... The difference is you're attacking my father. He can get fired from his job.
I'm not attacking your father.
You are.
No, I'm not. I don't know your father. And to be clear, I have no knowledge about him at all
Well, then let's leave him out of it. Let's leave him out of it if you don't know him.
Hang on, Nick. You put that story into the public domain on your show. I'm simply reminding you of what you told everybody, millions of people, about your father. If you now want to retract it, fine. If you want to say it was a joke, which is what your position was earlier, fine. But I'm allowed to put to you things you've said publicly. That's not unfair. That's not me targeting your father. You put that story about him out there.
You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
I'm asking you about a pretty shocking...
It's a little slimy, but if Nick brought up his dad or told the story of his dad and it's in the public, I feel like it's fair game.
Anecdote, which...
Right. I feel like it's fair game for Piers to bring it up.
To me, looked like you were saying your father made decisions about where you as a family would eat based on skin color.
Like, I feel like it's fair to bring it up, but also I don't think deciding where you go to eat based on the ethnicity of the people in restaurants actually paints you as a racist.
Of people who worked at these places. If you say, or use them, if you say that is not what you meant, that's fine. You can respond any way you like. But the idea I can't ask you about it without you saying I'm attacking your father is ridiculous.
Well, you are, and you know what you're doing. And there's a political culture in America where if you have the wrong views, you get fired from your job. And my father has a job. And if you go on here and say you charge him with racism or something, and I'm put in a position where I don't look like I'm
actually
sticking to my guns if I don't say my father's a racist, you're putting him in jeopardy, and he's not here to defend himself or explain his views. And it's very low. And I think you know exactly what you're doing, and people can see what you're doing. I'll defend my views. And I think that, so let's leave him out of it. Let's just not talk about my father, because my father isn't here. I'm here.
Okay, well, then do you accept that you shouldn't...
Listen,
that's fine. But then do you accept you shouldn't talk about...
Nick said everyone's racist? Yeah, everyone is racist, okay? All right? Varying degrees of racist, but racist. All right, let's be real, all right? You would not feel as comfortable walking alone, unarmed, with no security in Somalia, but you would feel a lot more comfortable walking alone, unarmed, in Central Park. Okay, let's be real, okay? Obviously, everyone is moderately racist. That was the point that he was trying to make. The difference is some people take it further than other people. That's what he was saying, and it's objectively true, and Piers Morgan's a cuck for trying to hit him with gotchas.
About your father on your show, and you shouldn't tell...
Absolutely not. Absolutely
not.
So
it's fine for you to put a story out there which would make most people who listened to that story or watched it at the time on your show conclude that he was racist. It's fine for you to do that, but if I then ask you about it, I'm the one who's being unfair and I've crossed a line. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, you're
that's
being
fine.
malicious.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Listen, people are watching this live. They can draw their own conclusions about whether what I just
they
did.
will.
Yeah, and I'm sure
they will.
afterwards, by the way, you'll say,
I mean, this is like this is a nothing situation. I think they both have valid points. On the one hand, Nick doesn't want his father to be brought up, which I get. On the other hand, he brought it into the public domain, which I also get. But just shut up and move on. Like, what are we doing?
ambush me with your
No,
own,
no,
with your
no,
own
no,
words.
whoa.
With your own words.
That's a little presumptuous. I'm not going to say it's an ambush, but I think that's a low blow. And I think
Okay.
you know what you're doing, and that's fine. You're a tabloid journalist. I expected that. I don't think it's an ambush because
I think Piers Morgan's a gigantic cuck. This man goes wherever the wind blows. He's a liberal that's anti-woke when being woke was not cool, and he was pro-Trump when being pro-Trump was cool. Then he's anti-Trump, and then he's pro-Israel, and then he's pro-Palestine. Actual grifter, male Karen energy, for real, for real.
knew it would be like this, and people will see what you're doing, and I think they'll say it's low. But as
Okay.
far as you want to talk about racism,
I do.
let's talk about racism.
Let's play, look, you've admitted you're a racist, correct?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Own it.
Okay, that's fine. You're perfectly entitled
Okay.
in a free democratic society to
Yep.
stare down the barrel of his camera. and
Unlike, but not in England. England is not a free democratic society, so you are already cucked, sir.
tell me you're a racist. People can judge you accordingly. Many
I know.
people who have assumed that you're racist will now have heard it from your own lips. That's fine.
There you go.
That's the
Sure.
point.
You really needed Nick Fuentes to come out here and confirm your suspicions that he's racist? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, bro, have you watched any of his stream? You needed him to come out and confirm this? Is this the hard-hitting journalism that this is happening, bro? This actually matters? Bro, this doesn't matter. Are you kidding me?
The point of this interview is to go over the things you've said,
This
which
is
have
a
led
non-point.
people to reach conclusions.
Dude, you know what I want? I want the meat of the debate. I want to actually get into, like, the meat and potatoes, all right? I want to get into, like, the deep shit, all right? Nick Fuentes says Israel owns America, all right? Get into the debate. Discuss it. Talk about why you think that, why you think it's not like that. I don't know. Talk about that from that level. Like, but when we do like this pretend garbage, it's like you're racist, and then oopsie poopsie, I'm gonna call you a racist now. I'm gonna label you that way. It's like, what are we doing, man?
About you, and to ascertain whether those conclusions are fair and reasonable or not. That's it.
Thank
so I want
you.
to play you another clip. This is what you talk about why white people are justified in being racist. Let's take a listen to this.
Oh my God, again?
First, white people are every single bit justified in being racist. Every single bit justified, to the extent that that means going out of your way to avoid black people when you see them.
You stand by
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's just silent.
that? So white people should go out of their way to avoid
Piers
black
doesn't know
people
what
when
to
they see
do.
them.
You know the funniest thing is, this is exactly how I predicted the debate would go. He would just show him a clip, call him a racist, he'd double down, and Piers would just be in silence, look at it. But you're a racist and a bigot. Hang on, hang on.
Absolutely. They would be wise.
Why?
Because it's a lose-lose proposition. If you're Irina Zarutska and you don't walk the other way, you get stabbed to death and you die.
True, if she was racist, she'd be alive today, maybe.
If you're somebody else and you walk on the subway and you stand near a black person or something, maybe it's fine. It's a lose-lose proposition.
Nux, you don't get Piers is doing this on purpose? To what goal? Like, obviously he's doing this on purpose. He's gonna get views.
So no, I think that white people have been beaten into submission, that we're afraid to tell.
Getting Nick to say it? Bro, Nick says it every single stream. Like, this is the most irrelevant. I think you people missed the boat here. I really do. I feel like you people missed the boat. I think what's honestly important here is the fact that this debate is the entire reason why young men are gravitating toward Nick Fuentes over gravitating towards Piers Morgan type people. Young men just don't want to live in a world where you have to literally let yourself get killed so that you don't look racist and you walk down a dangerous street in a neighborhood that's unsafe, right? Like, and young men are tired of that shit. Like, absolutely tired of that. And Nick Fuentes will say, yeah, it's because there's more violence in black communities. And Piers Morgan will be, well, I was in the University of Chicago and there's no violence. See what I mean? Like, it's a nothing. It's an actual nothing. If anything, this is just going to make Nick Fuentes look way better forever.
All the truth about it. And the truth is that when you go into these major cities like New York or
Like,
Chicago,
the fact that being labeled racist, it means nothing anymore. It's completely worthless now. It's completely and utterly worthless.
I believe she was in North Carolina, there is a menace, which is young, black, adolescent men. They're extremely violent. And we have been told that we have to pretend like they are every other person. We have to be colorblind to that. And we're supposed to go and be in the midst of all this danger. And I think that at this point, it's gotten out of control. You look at the BLM movement, they said that the reason that black people, are violent, or the reason there's crime, is because of police brutality. redlining or all these other things. They said we need to get rid of the police. We need to defund them. And a lot of cities did. A lot of cities like Chicago, for example, the police changed the rules of engagement. They don't chase them. It's not a felony if you steal a certain amount of merchandise. They won't chase them on foot. And now the city's totally up for grabs. And now whether you're in the Gold Coast or whether you're on the worst neighborhoods in the city, you might get shot, you might get mugged, someone might run up on you. And I tell my followers, it is better to be perceived as racist or racist and walk the other way and maybe keep your life than to say, I'm a good anti-racist. I don't mind that this person's making me uncomfortable. Maybe he's looking a little froggy. I'm going to sit down because I'm a good person and get stabbed, mugged, whatever. And by the way, this is a strategy. They call it the friendly stranger. There's a crew of them. They do this in Chicago. They stand outside bars, black people. They approach strangers. It's a robbery crew. And they pretend to be a friendly stranger and then they mug them. And stupid white people say, oh, hi, yeah, nice to meet you. You know, they grin, they laugh, they put up with the nonsense, and then they get mugged or worse. Sometimes they get executed. And so as a white person...
How do you feel about mass shootings at school?
Well, actually, most mass shooters in schools are white people, so equal violence, you're racist. Dude, this is painful to watch.
I think they're bad.
Who do you think commits the vast majority of the mass shootings?
I'm sure it's white people.
Right. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, but it's 0.0000001% of white people that commit mass shootings, and it's whatever the statistic was for black people that commit murder. According to Nick Fuentes, it's 5% of black people commit murder. Like, how could you possibly compare these? Like, this is the most pathetic gotcha I've ever heard in my entire life.
I think that white people do more antisocial violence. I think black people participate in more gang violence. I think that's a difference.
What's the difference to the victims?
He's right.
There's no difference to the victim, but it's a different kind of crime. And it's a different proportion also. Do you know what percentage of white people are school shooters?
I know that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools in America this century were perpetrated by young white men.
Piers, have you never heard of per capita?
And I'm curious whether your advice would be to people who have kids in these schools.
Is my mic working?
Should they avoid white people at school? Should people with the kids at school avoid young white men at school?
No.
Okay.
Do you know what per capita means? Do you know proportionality? They're more.
He has the same question as me. Do you not know what per capita means, sir?
Black people proportion.
The last words Charlie Kirk said, including gang violence. Bro, that's literally what we're doing right here. Piers, this is pathetic.
That engage in violent crime or are involved in gangs,
this is
especially
insane.
in these major cities, then there are white people that are school shooters compared to the entire white population.
Let's be real here. Statistically, where do you think more people are killed? In the ghetto or in a white school? Like, let's just think about it just for a second. Most school shooters are white.
And everybody understands that.
Two-thirds of mass shootings at school perpetrated by white people.
He's just repeating himself. No.
But what proportion of white men commit school shootings?
Oh my God, this is insane. This is crazy. Did you know that most people that get in plane crashes die? You shouldn't go on planes because most people that end up in plane crashes die. That's what he's doing. This is horrible, man.
That's a question.
I've just told you. It's 60-65% of school shootings.
No. I mean, what proportion of school shootings are committed by white people? I'm saying what proportion of white people have committed school shootings. Are you playing dumb or are you just not that smart?
What difference is it to the children lying dead on the ground?
This dude is actually, he's fighting with Somalia level IQ right now. This is pathetic.
See, now you want to jump on the victims. The difference is you're asking, would you fear white people or black people? And that's the difference. The difference is
what I'm saying to you is by your logic, if
he's literally using statistics to lie.
If we now have agreed that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools are committed by white people and predominantly young white men, then presumably your advice would be to avoid young white men but it won't be because they're white, right?
No.
So
oh my God, this is pathetic. This is pathetic, dude.
Playing dumb or are you actually dumb? You are because you're, well, I don't think you are dumb. I think you're smart actually, but you're deliberately avoiding per capita. And everybody knows that's the difference.
Yep.
What proportion of white men are school shooters? It's probably 0.00001%.
Yep.
What proportion of black men have committed violent crimes? It's probably like 5%. I guess I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it's very high. And I would add to that, even as it concerns schools, why do you think parents pay a super high property tax to live in a school district where there's white people? Because they know that if they go to the black school, it's going to be the Bloods and the Crips. It's going to be gangs. It's going to be...
I love how Piers also, like, look at what he's doing. He's, like, looking at whatever his producer is sending him. Like, he's debating Nick while some guy is feeding him statistics, and it's not working.
They know that if they go to the black school, it's going to be the Bloods and the Crips. It's going to be gangs.
He's so afraid to be called racist. He's not willing to acknowledge the actual fact that black people in America per capita are more violent than white people. That's a fact. Now, you could argue it's not racial, it's societal, it's cultural, you could argue it's because it's the ghetto lifestyle, you could argue it's poorer people, or whatever argument you want. Literally, whatever argument you want. But this is pathetic, man.
It's going to be, you talk about school shootings. Nobody talks about all the school shootings that are committed by gangbangers in and around the school, and all the other violence that's associated with that. I mean, these schools in the south side of Chicago, it's just not.
I have an answer for you, Nick. So the proportion of the population who carry out mass shootings is actually the same for black and white.
For white people, the proportion of...
Oh my God, this is pathetic. Yes, you're right. You're right. Black people and white people commit the same amount of crimes. You know the difference? The difference is there's 5 times the amount of white people that there are black people. So that means each black person commits about 5 times the amount of crimes as white people. Like, this guy knows nothing about statistics. Like, this is the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life.
The proportion of the population.
Are you hearing it? No.
See, I think the trouble with your statistics is a lot of them don't bear much scrutiny. We have a bunch of fact checkers checking all this.
Oh yeah, you don't bear much scrutiny. You don't bear scrutiny, he says while whipping out actual bullshit
in real time, because you do have a tendency to just come out with a lot of old baloney. And when you say, well, it's true. And when you're confronted with reality, you don't like it.
What's the figure? What proportion of white people have committed school shootings? With white people as the denominator and white people that have committed school shootings as the numerator, what's that percentage?
For both black and whites, the proportion of the population who carry out mass shootings generally is about the same.
Yeah, you're right. Except the white population is 5 times the size of black people, of the black population. So what do you think this is happening? This is the saddest thing in the world. Like, he's trying so hard. Pierce is trying so hard to, like, I don't know who he's even trying to fool here.
Tell me the number, and then
yet the only focus of your attention is the black shootings.
Oh my God, you are pathetic,
You don't want to live around black people. You want to avoid black people. You don't want interracial marriages or relationships that may produce black people. And yet, when I point out to you that there are many parts of crime in America where actually there's a majority of white people that perpetrate them, you don't care. You don't have any interest in them. It doesn't exercise your mind.
Pierce out here acting like a soy goy.
No one's argument lost. No one is buying this. Everybody understands per capita, and people can even see what you race ahead and say, well, we're comparing the proportion of white and black school shooters. I said, no, compare the proportion of school shooters that are white versus violent criminals that are black, because that was the basis of the monologue, is that you're very likely, if you encounter black people or a young black man in the city, that you're going to be the victim of a violent crime, of a robbery, a mugging, a car theft, a carjacking, or a murder. That's the difference, and it's about proportionality. And everybody sees past that because we all live in reality. You want to talk about product of your environment? People that live in New York, Chicago, LA, we live in reality. We live in this environment. We see what it's like. And the threat, the danger, in terms of probability,
he's just to be right, man.
It's not even comparable. And I would say this, to your point, if you're in a high school and truly, if you see a white person who looks like a little autistic, he's got the SSRI stare, and he reaches for a backpack, people joke and say, run. Similarly, if you see a jalopy pulling up with a bunch of black people in it and they got their pants around the ankles, you're going to run also. And I'm saying the same thing. The difference is the latter happens much more often. It's much more common. In Chicago, there's like 10,000 carjackings and car thefts every day. Yeah. It's in the thousands.
Yeah, no, dude, there are people getting killed in Chicago, like, daily. It's fucking crazy, man. Dude, Pierce, you are, like, so pathetic. And it's all because he refuses to acknowledge that some facts might make him look racist. Facts aren't racism, man.
All the time. How many mass shootings committed by autistic SSRI white people? I don't even know. I mean, it's probably in the single digits in the last decade in this city. That's the difference, and everybody knows that. But you're really just trying to carry water for liberal ideology. It's an ideological position.
No, I'm really not. I can absolutely say, yes, there is way too much black on black crime, for example, involving guns
and black on white crime.
Also.
Yes, but there is way too much gun violence in Chicago, right?
Oh my God. You've got to be fucking kidding me. He's trying everything. Like, he is literally pulling out the liberal boomer handbook. Well, actually, it's the guns that are killing people. It's not the black people that are killing black people. It's the guns. It's the guns that are killing them. Bro, in England, people are getting killed with fucking knives, all right? What are we doing?
I mean, it's indisputable.
Nux, why are you on Nick's side? He hates Jews. Bro, it's unbelievable how many times... Because I am objective, okay? I am objective here, okay? I'll agree with him when he's right, and I'll disagree with him when I think he's wrong. It's because if you watch my videos, you will know that I am actually trying my best to be as objective as possible, and also, fucking Piers Morgan's a complete and utter cuck.
I've got no problem saying that. The difference is
Okay.
I don't then lead myself into a thought process where I have to avoid all black people in case they shoot me. And you've already conceded that you are a racist. So when people hear you then say, I don't want to be living anywhere near black people, they already have heard you say, I'm a racist, so they assume you're doing that because of people's skin color. I don't think you would probably dispute that, right?
Well, you're separating two different things. The monologue, when I said I don't want to live around black people, that was after Irina Zarutska got shot. And it's true. I mean, they are a largely in this city, in Chicago, the South Side, the West Side, huge criminal population, and I don't want to live anywhere near it. And I do. I want to live in a white neighborhood. I think that that's extremely desirable, and I think even
Nick,
black people.
Again, you're perfectly entitled to that view. But when you have obviously prefaced all this by saying, I am a racist, unashamedly, then people will assume that all your thought processes about all
Why
of
does he care what people assume? Like, bro, is your ego so fragile? Is your ego so fragile that you care what people assume about you? Bro, I get clipped out of context, put on Twitter. I get harassment and death threats every day. You think I care that people assume things? Oh, get out of here, man.
these issues are driven by an aversion to people based on their skin color, which is the purest personification of racism.
Well, it's not an aversion. I would say it's the opposite. I like my own people. My own people are familiar to me, and I think that's true across the board. I think that people seek out other people that are like themselves, and every other group does this.
He's just obviously right. Like, that's just true.
Whether it's blacks, Hispanics.
It doesn't mean, I don't think I fully agree with Nick Fuentes on this point either about like the race mixing thing. I personally don't think race mixing is like a big deal. I think ideology and religion come before race every single day. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Like, no doubt. But that said, like, you have the right to your opinion. You can marry whoever you want.
Asians, I get a lot of attacks when I talk about that I'm against interracial marriage. And what's funny is that every other group is against interracial or interethnic marriage. Jews,
but you're
people,
product of an
Hispanics.
interracial marriage.
True. He's not wrong, but I think it's for me, it's a religious thing. I would only marry a Jew because I am Jewish, and I want to marry someone that has the same Jewish ideology that I have and the same religion that I have. That's my perspective. However, that said, I am an Ashkenazi Jew, but I don't see any issue with marrying an Ashkenazi Jew or a Sephardic Jew or a Moroccan Jew or a Mizrahi Jew from Israel. For me, none of that matters. So I think it comes down to fundamentally purely ideological and cultural, and I think that the religion trumps. That's my personal belief. You have every right to disagree. You have every right to disagree, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's debatable.
Not
Let's
really.
say sure.
No, you're the product of an interracial marriage, and your father is part Mexican. You're literally
For the sake of
the
sure.
person you've just told me you want to avoid.
What race is Hispanic? Is that a race?
Well, what do you think it is?
No,
I'm asking you,
Is that,
Hispanic.
bro? Oh my
Hispanic.
God.
Of course it's a race. It's called Hispanic.
It's a mix between
boy.
two races. It's a mix between indigenous
It's
Americans.
not white.
Well, you're more of a racial purist than me. You got like
Not
a
really. You just keep saying you only want to live in a
white.
white neighborhood, but you're literally from a mixed race background yourself. You've literally
and I
got
live in
Mexican blood.
I know, and I live in a non-white neighborhood too. I'm trying to get out of here though, but I'm trying to get out. But here's the thing.
Do you have any non-white friends?
Bro, he's really hitting him with like this is the saddest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Accidentally giga racist Piers Morgan over here. Like this, I love how this just proves that it's the left that's actually the racists. It's the left that's the racists. He's like, Bro, the black communities are less safe than the white communities in general in America. That said, wouldn't you want to live in white communities? In fact, I know a lot of black people that are trying to move out of ghettos and move out of black, quote unquote, black communities. Like, what are we doing?
In question.
Most of my friends are non-white. Most of my friends are not, and non-white people love my show.
How many are
because
black?
the honesty.
How many of your friends are black?
Kanye West?
Many of them, like at least a dozen.
Wow.
Ye being one
Yeah.
who you know, Sneeko being another who you also know.
Yeah.
Sneeko, L Sneeko. Sneeko's a cuck. That guy's pathetic.
So how do they feel when you say you just want to be
That's just my opinion. Maybe there's another side of Sneeko that I'm unaware of, but I don't know. When he came out there defending cuties and that's pretty sad.
away from any black people? Walk away from them.
Well, you know what Ye told me? I'll tell you verbatim what he said, that it doesn't come from a place of, when you use the word aversion, that's the first thing I'll actually dispute.
Okay.
It's not an aversion on the basis of skin color, because that would seem to suggest it's like a stubborn, irrational bigotry. I don't consider myself a bigot. I
You say you're not racist? Name every black man.
consider myself a racial realist. I'm realistic about how the races are, and I speak provocatively about it. And I speak provocatively about
Did they cut out the N-word? Wait, did I not even notice that they cut out the N-word?
it's like a stubborn, irrational bigotry. I don't consider myself a bigot. I consider myself a racial realist. I'm realistic about how the races are, and I speak provocatively about it. And I speak provocatively about our tribalistic instincts and tendencies as human beings. And I'm not a liberal ideologue that says that over time and with enough education, we're all going to see this great brotherhood where we're colorblind and everybody's the same. You know, I don't think that's ever going away. I think that
Wait, they actually cut out the N-word. That was a huge cut. Wait, bro, I'm sorry. I have to see that.
You know what Ye told me? I'll tell you verbatim what he said, that it doesn't come from a place.
Oh my God, they cut out what Ye said because Piers Morgan uncensored my ass. Oh my God, that's pathetic. He said the N-word there? Bro, dude, Piers Morgan uncensored, ladies and gentlemen.
Bigotry. I don't consider myself a bigot. I consider myself a racial realist. I'm realistic about how the races are, and I speak provocatively about it. And I speak provocatively about our tribalistic instincts and tendencies as human beings. And I'm not a liberal ideologue that says that over time and with enough education, we're all going to see this great brotherhood where we're colorblind and everybody's the same. You know, I don't think that's ever going away. I think that race is real. It's not just skin deep. It matters to us and it matters to each other. And black people know that, and Hispanics know that, and Asians know that, and people like me that have partial Mexican ancestry, we know that too. And I think on that basis, we can have mutual respect and understanding, not aversion based on skin color.
The reason I use the
And that is why Nick Fuentes, or as I should call him, Shlomo Fuentes, is incredibly pro-Israel. That's why he supports the Israeli ethno-state, and he believes that Israel and Jews deserve their own homeland. That's right. That's why Nick Fuentes will forever be the #1 most pro-Israel commentator on the right. A man that firmly believes that Jews should be in Israel, should stay in Israel, should marry other Jews, should build a Jewish civilization where they look out for themselves. Shout out to Nick Fuentes, the most pro-Israel right-wing commentator I have ever seen. This is what we call a super goy. All right, anyway, moving on.
Word aversion is you literally said that you should walk the other way if you see black people. That is an aversion to black people based on their skin color.
No, that's called economy of information. That's economy of information. That's safety. And I said in the same monologue, if you watch it, it's like, I feel sorry. The problem is you clip the 10 seconds. I don't know if you watched the whole show, but in that monologue, I said, most black people are not violent or criminals. I said, and it's unfortunate that we're going to offend them when we turn and walk the other way. I said, but the problem is we don't know. We can't tell. And someone like Irina...
He's right. And honestly, being called a non-racist is bullshit. Being called a non-racist, I care about not being called racist, so therefore I will never offend anybody and literally risk my life in certain instances. That's insane.
Zarutska, she sat down in front of a black man.
Oh, Nick is the first goiper. Bro, that's good.
And with her headphones in and wasn't paying attention because she was being a good liberal and said, I'm not uncomfortable by this. I'm progressive. Then she got stabbed in the neck. And I said, it's unfortunate that you would have to sit behind the black man to be safe. And if he's not violent or schizophrenic, he might be offended by that. I said, but I would rather offend him than die.
How many deranged white men have committed atrocious acts of murder?
God. Per capita less than black men. Bro, this is pathetic,
in the last 10 years in America.
Proportionally far fewer. Far fewer.
How many? Do you know how many?
You have a research team. You pull it up.
You're very big on, you're obviously extremely...
Well, in 100,000 people, 3.5 white men commit murder. But in 100,000 people, 29.5 black men commit murder. So do with that what you will.
By that one story, which was horrific for the record.
Per capita is literally killing this man.
Absolutely horrific, and should never have happened. The person who perpetrated that evil act had a string of previous offences and should have been picked up more, and it should have been amplified more. I completely concur with all of that. But I just suspect you have no idea how many white people have committed similar crimes, do you?
No, because I know it's far fewer from experience. Because it's like you said. Well, and hang on, and I would add to that, you know, Irina Zarutska wasn't the first one. That was also after Austin Metcalf was killed in Texas.
Sure.
After Carmelo
how many
Anthony
times is it by white people?
Well, hang on, let me finish my point.
But you're implying that white people don't do this, and my point to you...
They do, just way less. 10 times less. Bro, this is terrible.
Fuentes is, of course...
I never said white people don't do it.
Of course, deranged white people commit heinous acts, but you don't either know...
No disagreement.
You neither know nor care, or maybe both. Maybe you do know but don't care. You only seem to be focused on black people who commit crimes. And again, if you hadn't prefaced the whole debate about racism by openly conceding you are a racist, I could read other connotations into what you've been saying. But once you've said, I'm a racist, and then you only talk about black crime,
this is
pathetic. I think people can watch this and they can say, yeah, he's a racist. And everything he says about crime is driven through the prism of being a racist.
But that's just not true. That's literally just because of the numbers and the stats. Bro, this is the saddest thing in the world. This is Piers Morgan saying, well, I'm really glad that we're inviting infinite immigrants into my country because at least the food tastes better. Bro, this is terrible.
Just people according to their skin color.
Dude, how does this guy have a career?
It's funny because it's quite on the contrary. And I said this in a similar monologue. You know, the problem is not that I wake up and I walk down the street and I see someone that doesn't look like me and it makes me angry. The problem is there's a pattern of behavior, which we've all seen. Blacks in America have become narcissistic, and they become narcissistic because they've been told they're victims of racism, they're victims of slavery. They've been told, really, there's no accountability. If they're rude, if they're inconsiderate, if they're criminal.
I mean, we just had a guy that a black guy stabbed a white guy twice and got released, wasn't arrested because the guy said the N-word after he was stabbed.
They are told that they have no agency for their actions. They're being told, if you act in this way, it's because the white man made you that way. It's because the system's rigged against you. And so we've been telling black people this for a generation, and now there's no rules. Now they go, and what we hate to see as decent people, not even as white people, but decent people, even black people too, what we hate to see is rudeness, obnoxiousness, inconsideration, criminality, violence.
And Piers Morgan is, and Ye isn't narcissistic. Yeah, no, obviously Kanye is narcissistic.
And that's that pattern of behavior that we see.
But I think Kanye is like actually manic depressive. Like that's a whole other story.
All over social media. On
So
the
just to be
body
clear,
cam footage,
you don't like black people who play the victim and are rude. Is that your position?
I don't like that pattern of behavior.
And you're a narcissist.
I see where
He's gonna be, but you're friends with Kanye West.
this is going.
Yeah, you're
Are you
ahead
going
of
to
me.
turn this around on
You're
me?
ahead of me, aren't you? Because when I said
Very
black friends have you got, you said,
I am kind of black, aren't I?
No, not that. You said,
Oh, yeah,
I'm not saying
also.
you. I'm just saying your choice of black friend is Ye, who is arguably the #1 black victimhood narcissist in America. Do you understand the problem? So
I wouldn't say so. I think every single person in Black Lives Matter is a bigger narcissist victimhood guy than Kanye West. Bro, this is like the worst gotcha I've ever heard.
He's your friend. He's one of the very few black people you want to be associated with, but he's the epitome of what you just said you abhor about narcissistic
See,
black
my
people.
favorite black guy is Nick Fuentes. He's my favorite black guy. But everyone needs a favorite black guy.
I disagree. I disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. Because Ye, if you've ever met him in real life.
I have, yeah.
Okay, well, then you know. He's nothing but polite, considerate.
That seems very rude to me the last 2 times I interviewed him. He's a supreme...
Oh my god, dude. You antagonize him on your show, bro. You cannot possibly compare that to anything. Bro, Kanye West was never arrested for violence, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, sure, he makes bad tweets. He doesn't like Jews, and then he likes Jews, and then he doesn't like Jews, and he went to a rabbi to apologize for his hatred of Jews. He's done the whole circuit. I think he's a manic depressive guy, but that dude was never in a gang. That dude wasn't robbing stores or committing acts of violence. Unlike 90% of other rappers. Yeah, he was rude, but that's not the same thing.
He's a supreme narcissist, and he's also...
You keep interrupting me. You're very rude. Are you black?
I
Because you're being very
apologize
rude by me right now.
to you.
But I
Can you
finish
not,
my
right?
point. I do want to finish my point about Ye. He is a guy who, when I was with him, wanted to make sure that everybody was heard. Everybody felt included. He's actually a very soft-spoken guy, very polite, and by the way, not violent. When you look at all the rappers that are in the music game,
that is the fundamental difference here.
many of them, especially from Chicago drill rap, they're talking about killing people, shooting people, they gangbang. He notably, if you know about him, he got his start because he was a nerd. He wore a backpack and a polo, and he wasn't a gangbanger. He rapped about his feelings and girls and his dreams and his ambitions. So no, and by the way, he would tell me all the time, he doesn't even feel black. They make him feel not black because he doesn't do those things, because he's soft-spoken, because he's artistic, because he's a bit of a nerd or likes fashion. So I would disagree. He's actually not like that at all. What we're talking
he's also a Hitler-loving anti-Semite. And we're going to take a little commercial break here, and we're going to come back and talk about anti-Semitism.
That's why he likes him.
Views
all right, Jew lore coming soon. All right, sponsored by Viagra, so Piers Morgan can still actually get some.
Stream. Thank you. Okay, back with Nick Fuentes. Let's just turn to anti-Semitism.
There we go. Here comes the main part. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here. This Jew reacts to anti-Semitism. All right, Jew react. Here we go.
Even Crowder last week, you answered emphatically that you don't hate all Jews. Is that correct? That's your position.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to play you this clip.
Well, I don't hate any Jews. Let me just amend that. I don't hate any Jews.
Okay. Let's play
hell
this
yeah,
clip.
dude. Let's go.
The reason
I take that, chat. My chat was telling me he hates me. Well, see? He just said he doesn't. Yeah, he wants to execute perfidious Jews, but look at that.
That is because my opposition to world Jewry and Israel is rooted in absolute, uncontestable fact.
All right.
We have the truth on our side. That's why we're winning, because we are telling the truth about the historical antagonism between Jews and Europeans, between Jews and Christians.
Wow.
The theological, historical, racial, cultural, and political antagonisms between organized Jewry and the Christians, organized Jewry and Europeans. And the reason that we are winning that argument is because it's real, it's true. I can prove it, I can show you, I can name the names, I can show you the paper trail, the money.
All right.
That is why we're winning. That is why all of this is raising the consciousness.
So just before he continues, the reality of it is, and this is, I'm sure that I'm not going to agree with Nick on most of his Jew takes, are the fact that Jews and Christians have antagonized each other for 2,000 years. I think, obviously what happened with the Pharisees at the beginning of Christianity definitely was, I guess, Jews antagonizing Christians, I suppose. But as it moved on, throughout the rest of history, the Crusades were essentially Christians not fighting against Jews, but Jews ended up getting massacred in the crossfire. And it was just an actual steamrolling of killing Jews. It was definitely like a both sides kind of situation. I'm not going to lie. And as one of the Jews that don't control the universe and create space and invent dinosaurs like Candace Owens has accused me of, I personally think that there are definitely bad guys in every group. There are bad guys in every group, and that's just an undeniable fact.
When you say you have this opposition to world Jewry, it's one thing to criticize, for example, the Israeli government over what it's been doing in Gaza. I've done that myself. When you talk about world Jewry, I presume you're talking about the 15 million Jews in the world, and you are opposed to them.
All right.
How does that square with your position that you don't hate any Jews?
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Do you take issue with my use of the term world Jewry?
Well, what do you mean by that?
Or do you take issue with it? Do you have a problem with that?
Clarify what you mean by it.
All right. Valid.
Well, it's funny.
I don't even know what it means either.
The gaslighting's crazy because I use that expression on my show all the time. I say organized Jewry, world Jewry. And do you know that for like 30 years, the World Jewish Congress has an annual keynote called The State of World Jewry? Barry Weiss has given it. You can look it up. It's on YouTube.
That's cool.
The State of World Jewry.
What do you mean by it?
I see no issue with Jews controlling the world, actually. Based. I'll take tithes from anyone that wants to support. Moving on.
I mean, you have to talk about, there's a concept of Jewish peoplehood. It's the sense that they are part of a common nationality, a common tribe, a common people. And
Fair.
where they reside in Israel, the United States, or Europe, or elsewhere, they see each other above or maybe on a different level alongside their nationality, their state, wherever they reside. If they're in Germany, France, the United States, they see themselves as part of a transnational nation, of an international.
Sounds like Nick's Jew. I mean, not that he's Jewish per se, but I'm not going to lie. Sounds like Nick is jealous of Jews. I feel like Nick wishes white Christians treated each other like Jews treat each other.
National nation. The Jews in America, the Jews in Israel, they identify as Israeli or American, but they also have something in common. They identify as part of a common nation. Which
Shlomo Fuentes, can you show us your foreskin, please?
Would say there's a world Jewish population. It's world Jewry. And world Jewry has representatives. There is such a thing as the World Jewish Congress, where they actually elect, it's democratic, all the local Jewish organizations elect representatives to represent proportionally the Jewish population in their area at the
that is not like super accepted by the majority of Jews. No, there definitely is this tribalistic and he's totally right that there is a tribalistic aspect to Jews, that Jews are going to look out for other Jews in general, no matter where the Jews are from. He's totally right about that. That's true. However, there isn't like some sort of giant democratic election where all of the New York Jews have voted to put X Jew into the World Jewry UN, and the World Jewry UN managed to show up, and then they each decided how the Jews are gonna. That's really not really a thing. Unfortunately, it would be great. It would be fantastic. But listen, it's the Jews are really trying to control the world, and I'm not gonna lie, Shlomo Fuentes is helping dramatically in this very video.
World Jewish Congress. And it's sort of like Davos. It's like the World Economic Forum, but it's exclusively for members of the Jewish nation that exists across the world.
It's really not. It's a couple of Jews that get together to do this stuff. Also, there's so many, like, I feel like I could discuss this forever, but even though it's true that Jews do look out for other Jews in general, and that's true, the woke Jews and the, like, conservative Jews, arch nemesis. I don't think you're aware. Arch nemesis. And they are very, very not actually buddies at all. They'll hope that the other party will see the light, probably. But nah, dude, absolutely not. Like, nah, absolutely not. I think in fact, when you're like talking to conservative Jews in general, most of them view their number one adversary as the woke Jews. Not that they want them to be destroyed or anything, but that they wish they would repent. And unfortunately, they're not, and they are causing basically all of our problems. But I do think that's a pretty public, pretty popular perspective from most conservative Jews in general.
And so that's a real thing. And I didn't make that up, and that didn't come from 4chan. It's like I said in that clip. I read what they write. I read their books. I watch these speeches. I watch a speech from Barry Weiss. I pay very close attention. So that's what I mean by that. There is such a thing as it's a nation that exists across borders on a global scale. They're organized, and they have a national self-interest as that nation, as that tribe.
Bro, no one glazes Jews like Nick Fuentes. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Bro's literally glazing Jews. This is crazy. He's right. True.
So if you don't hate any Jews, what do you like about them?
I like a lot of things about them. I think they're funny. I think they're smart.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes,
I think that they're
my IQ, I have about a 140 IQ. Thanks.
pretty remarkable people.
I agree. I am pretty remarkable. Thanks.
As Christians, especially as Catholics, we say they're remarkable. And this has been adjudicated.
Look at that. The Goipers are here. Hey, Goiper. Any Goipers in chat?
Catholic doctrine for thousands of years. We say that they're a witness people. And so we actually, you know, there's provisions inside of Catholic doctrine that says we need to give them special protections because they were a witness to Christ's passion. So, you know, this is why you can't clip the show. You have to watch the whole thing. I say this repeatedly in interviews. I do think they're remarkable. By definition, they're exceptional people. It's just that there is a sort of natural opposition between them and Christians because of the theology. We believe that Christ is a Messiah.
That's true.
They don't.
That's true.
They have been a minority in Christian lands for thousands of years.
That's true.
And they have been pushed around and expelled, and they've been persecuted and segregated. And that's why there's a lot of paranoia. There's a lot of distrust.
Valid.
There's maybe some sense of chauvinism among Jewish people. So there is, like I said in that clip, there is an historical antagonism between these two peoples, between Christendom and Jewry, and that has always been the case in Europe. But I don't hate them, and I think I actually sort of understand them in a weird way.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. Shlomo Fuentes. He's always been on our side. He's always been on our side, baby.
I think that because I've studied a lot of their politics, I think I really kind of know them in a way.
Do you have any Jewish friends?
I do. I have many, yes.
Well, that's weird because you said this.
Jews and Christians have never been friends.
Oh my God. He doesn't. Why Pierce? This is why Pierce is like such a fucking cuck. This dude cannot engage with a single conversation. He cannot engage with the conversations at all. But that's weird because of this. Then what about this clip that you've said before that now you're gonna double down on? You're racist.
Friends ever. Not since Jesus Christ fought with the Pharisees have we ever been friends. Not since Saul was leading the charge persecuting the Christians. Not since the Roman Empire. Not since the Middle Ages. Never. We've never.
Saul leading the charge persecuting the Christians. I assume he's not talking about Saul, like, from the Bible, because that guy was long before Christianity. Must have been a different Saul.
Been friends. We've never been allies. We've always been set against each other, actually. And even here in the United States, it was communist Jews who were the architects of both communism and the civil rights laws that are dispossessing white Christians of their land and civilization.
Yeah, it's the rough part. Saul is the Apostle Paul. Oh, no. So what's difficult when I hear like Nick Fuentes talk, and he says a lot of things that are correct, is that he's really mixing a lot of different ideologies here. Like, for example, the Jews that were like instituting communism, for example, those guys were not religious. Those guys were anti-religious. Those guys were anti-Jewish. Those guys rebelled against Jewry, and ended up joining the heathens, and ended up joining up with the Russians that started this entire, like, for example, the Bolshevik shit. Like, a lot of the Bolshevik family were Jewish. But they were Jews that were ethnically Jewish that hated the Jewish religion and rebelled against the Jewish religion. So while, they were definitely technically Jewish, the reality is it's not part of Jewry that caused that. And I keep seeing that flip-flop very often. But that's fair. That's fair. No, he is right. And it was definitely, absolutely, positively, there are bad people in every single group, and this is just objective fact. And the Christians, you know, they've come up with all the blood libels about how Jews were drinking the blood of Christian children and stuff, which was all not true. And then you have some Jews that ended up becoming, you know, the architects of communism. Karl Marx was Jewish, I'm pretty sure. So, you know, realistically, Jews get Jews in trouble. That's true, but that is not part of world Jewry or part of the greater Judaism movement. But again, I just think he's mistaken on that one. I think because communism is very anti-Jewish. In fact, usury is a sin. One of the big complaints about the banking system is that you know, usury is everywhere. Everything is on interest, and how the banking system is making tons of money like that. That is an inherently anti-Jewish philosophy. Usury is prohibited by the Bible. It's specifically the anti-Jews, or the Jews that are ethnically Jewish, that are anti the religious Jews, that decided to pull off that usury bullshit. So realistically, it becomes difficult. And I think he's not wrong in the regard that a lot of woke Jews are dangerous. because Jews are objectively and factually highly educated, highly organized people. And he's right about that. And the woke ones have very different ideologies that aren't necessarily meshing. The Shadow Jew War, some would even call it.
The Jews and Christians have never been friends
No one would call it that.
ever, except for you and your Jewish friends.
Yeah, so easy.
Well, I mean, that's not true either. Jews and Christians, there have been friendships made between Jews and Christians before. It's not like it never happened. In fact, most of the early Christians were Jews. I mean, there have always been combos throughout time. But anywho,
peoples, as nations.
Got it.
Not saying every individual Christian, and of course there have been Christians and there have been Christian
as nations, there have never been Jewish nations. Like between the destruction of the temple 2,000 years ago and the founding of the state of Israel, there hasn't really been a Jewish nation.
converts to Judaism, Jewish converts, Christian. You're nodding your head, but you're asking this. I'm saying as peoples, they've
No,
never
I hear
been
you.
under
As a
Roman
Roman, I'm a
antagonism.
Catholic like you, and I have many Jewish friends. I'm just trying to compute what you're trying to say, which is Jews and Christians have never been friends ever. And I'm like, well, you have Jewish friends, I have Jewish friends, we're both Catholics, therefore we're Christians. It doesn't really quite add up.
Well, like I said, as peoples, there has been an historical antagonism as peoples. And you could even say the same about blacks in the United States. Of course, there were black and white people that were friendly with each other, but in many ways, they were set against each other as groups. And I think that's easy enough to understand.
The reason that many people think you're anti-Semitic is that you have regularly downplayed the Holocaust, and in particular...
Oh my God, dude. Piers just doesn't engage with anything. You're just embarrassing yourself, man. Like, he doesn't engage with a single talking point. He just brings up the next clip every single time. Like, bro, you're getting absolutely obliterated here.
...the number of Jewish people who were murdered by the Nazis. It's been said that you believe no more than several 100,000 have been killed. And I want to play you this clip.
People talk about, well, you know, what about the gas chambers? Well, to the extent that that's real, I find that hard to believe, but to the extent that's real, there have been atrocities committed and genocides committed in all times and all places. Let's acknowledge why Hitler casts the long shadow, because that confers a political benefit upon Jews. That's why.
It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies, and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens,
Oh my God,
right?
not the cookies!
Doing 24 hours a day every day for 5 years. How long would it take you to make 6 million? I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right?
I mean, that's like the old edgy anti-Semitic trope that, according to the math, there's no way you'd kill this amount of... The reality is obviously not all 6 million Jews were killed in ovens. Obviously, there were more ovens than that. Obviously, it's not only ovens that they were using to cremate all the Jews. It's a funny joke. It's easily debunked. But this is obviously a joke.
Doesn't seem to add up there.
Bro, they pulled up a clip where Nick Fuentes was fucking in diapers. Bro, you're really pulling up a Nick Fuentes clip from 2002?
I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there.
You think that's funny?
It's funny. It's amusing what you're doing because, you know, that one was a joke. But do you want to talk seriously about the Holocaust?
Yeah, I do, actually. I do, because I just find it extraordinary that you would think the Holocaust could ever be something that we could joke about.
Oh my God, Piers, you're such a fucking cuck. It's crazy. Okay, dude, my grandparents are Holocaust survivors, okay? They lost their entire families. It was the darkest moment in obviously, my family's history. My grandparents told me stories in the Holocaust and how they survived and how their entire families were murdered. Does that mean you're not allowed to make jokes? Does that mean you're not allowed to make jokes? What are we doing? What are we doing? You know how the Nazis transported so many Jews in a single car? In an ashtray. It's dark, it's edgy, but it's a joke. And unfortunately, that's where we're at. Like, what are we doing, guys? This is pathetic as fuck. People make jokes about 9/11 all the time, okay? 9/11 is more recent in America, and Americans make fun of 9/11. It's not a joke. It doesn't matter. It's a joke. It's dark humor. If you're personally offended, that's fine. But jokes are not the same thing. Like, what are we doing? Like that's pathetic, man. That's honestly pathetic. Is it okay to ever joke about it? Like, what is this, man?
Too soon? Is it too soon to make jokes?
Too soon?
How many people do you think died in the Holocaust? How many?
Nick isn't joking about it. I know that Nick is like a Holocaust denier type guy. I know that. Again, I think it's an intellectually dishonest stance because obviously, if you look at every single professional that ever did censuses, 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust approximately. Some more, some less. Maybe it's 6.1. Maybe it's 5.9. It's a sick joke. Yeah, you're right. It is a sick joke. But sick jokes are jokes anyway, all right? Like, dude, like, there's literally a website, an organization called Yad Vashem that has the list of over 5 million Jewish names of people that died in the Holocaust. It's obviously a real thing. It obviously happened. But jokes are jokes. End of discussion. I'm sorry. Yad Vashem. That's what it's called, that organization. They literally have the names of over 5 million people that were killed in the Holocaust. My grandfather's entire town was wiped out. His whole family was killed. The reality is that's where it is. All right, that's where it's at. In fact, if you look at the census of Jews before the Holocaust, there are less Jews in the world today than there were before the Holocaust. Like, there's no that's insane. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy how big of an atrocity it is. Does that mean jokes are now illegal? Yeah, they're in poor taste sometimes, but they're not illegal. Like, this is pathetic.
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe 7 million. What's the number?
This is the new Holocaust denier strategy. You start saying higher. It's like when you ask someone, it's like, what do you think the age of consent should be? I'm thinking 25, 30 maybe. It's like, all right, dude, you're a pedophile. You know? It's like, bro.
6 million, something like that.
So you
8 million?
You concede that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust?
Possibly more. Possibly, we're discovering all the time. So it could maybe even be more than that.
So why have you doubted the numbers in the past?
I'll tell you why. I really think that every death is a tragedy, however many Jewish people died in the Holocaust. And I'm not a World War II historian, so I'm actually open to believing the official narrative, and I've read some of the conspiracy theories. And to tell you the truth, it's a rigorous debate.
Wow.
But you know what's interesting?
It's really not. It's really, again, I am not a World War II historian either, but I have definitely read a ton about the Holocaust. And it's really not a debate. If you actually did any reading, it's really not a debate. But it's completely irrelevant. It happened 80 years ago. That doesn't mean we should forget that it happened. We should never forget that it happened. And that's why, thank God, that the Jews have a home country of Israel that could defend itself, thank God. But the reality is, like, what is this gotcha moment, man? This is pathetic.
About this is, in many countries, it's not even legal to talk about it.
Yeah, that's pathetic.
That's really
terrible.
where
That's terrible. I believe in freedom of speech, absolutely. And that includes denying the Holocaust should be legal, and joking about the Holocaust should be legal, and all of that. Absolutely. But it was one of the most well-documented atrocities in human history. And if you want to be retarded and deny it or whatever, that's fine. That's your prerogative.
My interest in the Holocaust begins and sort of ends, to tell you the truth, is that if you wanted to question the number, you would be put in jail in about, 17 or 18 European countries. And I think that's really the more interesting conversation, which is that this is almost like a religious dogma in the West. No other genocide, no other atrocity is treated like this. Could you imagine if in the United States they said the number of Palestinians killed in Gaza is 100,000, and if you don't say that, you're going to jail, you're banned on X, you can't have a job? That's the part that's totally insane. And a lot of people can't even make up their minds. I think it's actually done a disservice. I
agree. I completely agree. The whole idea of jailing people that deny the Holocaust or whatever, it just makes it worse. It just makes it way worse, because now that it seems like it's some nefarious plot. And it's the same strategy with, like, banning Nick Fuentes, for example. The fact that he's deplatformed everywhere, only makes people want to find him more. It's like the actual Streisand effect. What's the point of him bringing up these laws? It's because Piers Morgan asked him about, like, just Holocaust denying jokes. That is literally why he's mentioning it. Again, I think that obviously the Holocaust happened. It was a terrible tragedy. It was a nightmare. And obviously no one should ever forget it. But censoring people for it? That's fucking insane.
Goal, and I'm not saying you as Piers Morgan, but if you're an advocate for awareness about this, if your goal is to convince everybody that this is the way the Holocaust happened, I think the last thing you'd want to do is say that everyone that disagrees is in jail and is banned and you're not allowed to say it. There's really been no open debate about the subject since the scholarship started to be produced about 60 years ago.
There is no debate to be had about the number of people who were murdered. Even the Nazis in the trials after the war confirmed the numbers, the amount of documentation.
Yeah, no, it is a true thing. That's why the Holocaust deniers are all retarded.
Covered, notwithstanding the attempts by the Nazis to destroy it. The amount of documentation that was saved and preserved and used for trials and for historical record is unprecedented in the history of mass slaughter of human beings. So we have a very clear idea of how many people were gassed to death in the gas chambers. We have a very clear idea of how many were starved to death, were kept in ghettos, died of disease, of forced labor, of death marches. We know how many Jews were slaughtered. It's at least 6 million. What's interesting to me is that you appear to now concede that, which may be news to a lot of your regular viewers who have constantly heard you quibble with the number of Jews who died in the Holocaust.
We're going to continue quibbling because he's just making edgy jokes. That is the edge. Pierce is like, he's another generation, man. He doesn't understand edginess. When society tells you you're not allowed to do something, it just makes you want to do it more. Society tells you you're not allowed to make fun of the Holocaust, so he makes fun of the Holocaust. Society tells you you're not allowed to be racist, so it's funny to be racist. All right, that's why he does this shit, I think. Because honestly, denying the Holocaust is really the retard position. Anyone that denies the Holocaust is just intellectually dishonest. Like, completely. And you see some of these guys, they get, like, cool likes on Twitter to be like, oh, I heard it's only 271,000 Jews that were killed in the Holocaust. And it's like, I hope you get likes on social media, because your wife is going to leave you. You know, like, that is retard shit.
The record, just to confirm what I think you told me, you do now accept that at least 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust.
Well, no, I said it could even be higher than that.
Well, it could be, that is true.
I think it's at least.
But you accept
right,
at least.
It is at least. Oh, it's at least 6 million. But
Okay.
it could be 100
well,
times
people
more
are
than
gonna
that.
be, okay, the people are going to be...
Let me respond to the rest of your question.
Sure.
What you're saying, I understand where you're coming from when you say it has been documented and there are confessions and so on. Let that speak for itself. But you don't see, your show is called Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Yep.
But the United Kingdom is censored and Europe is censored. And if you talk about these things,
right.
you will be put in jail in many countries.
He's right.
And I think that's where a lot of people start to say, well, if the truth is so clear and if there's such overwhelming evidence, why do you need to throw people in jail for disagreeing? And you yourself said, well, there is no debate. I think everything is debatable. I think everything at least should be debated. And if the evidence is very one-sided, let the evidence speak. Don't throw people in jail. So do you think that Holocaust denial laws should be overturned?
I don't particularly agree with Holocaust denial laws. I don't think people should be imprisoned.
Okay.
Well, because I have a blanket view now, which has evolved slightly actually over the years, that I have a blanket view that speech should not be criminalized, right? People should be allowed to say what they want to say, and they should be then made accountable for what they say. If you have an employer, they can make a view about whether you are the right kind of person they want for their employment, as they would make a decision about anything else you do in life. So I actually believe that speech should never be criminalized. It's my personal view. I understand why in places like Germany, they have strong laws about it because they want to move on from what they believe was the most shameful moment in their history. I understand that. Do I want that in my country? No. Am I appalled by what has been going on with free speech in the United Kingdom in the last 2 or 3 years? Absolutely. It is ridiculous that people have been frog-marched to prison cells for stuff they put on social media, right? So, yeah, I do. I think what is more interesting to me about our exchange is I was not expecting you to go the opposite way. I was not expecting you to be so emphatic that at least 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. No,
Bro, dude, the fact that Pierce doesn't realize that he's being sarcastic is absolutely diabolical. Like that, dude, he doesn't even realize he's being sarcastic. Maybe it was 100 times 6 million Jews that died in the Holocaust, and you really took him seriously. Bro, Pierce, you're a fucking dumbass. You are like an actual proper dumb fuck. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
People watching this, I think, will be very surprised by that because you have built a reputation for being, if not a Holocaust denier, then somebody constantly questioning in a downward way the number of Jews who were murdered. That doesn't appear to be what your position is now.
No, and here's what I would like to see for my entire career. When I started my show, it started with a good faith inquiry where I was questioning a lot of these narratives and I said, what is the answer on the other side? But what I found is that the answer was criminalized. So when you would talk about anything regarding Jews, Israel, the Holocaust, you could be in favor of the official narrative on those things. If you went against, you were banned, censored, and in some countries jailed. And so I actually haven't made up my mind on that because that's not really a matter of interest to me. And there's a lot of analysis and scholarship on both sides of the issue. And I've read both sides of the issue. And honestly, unfortunately,
there really
it's hard to judge because there is
Holocaust denial is like flat Earth. It's that one-sided. It's crazy.
And there's never been a debate on it.
If you do the research. And again, I think everyone should have the right to deny the Holocaust, but I also think you should have the right to say the Earth is flat. Like it's pretty equivalent.
And there's never been a debate because of the stigma, because of the censorship.
He is
and
right,
I think that leads a lot of people to say, well,
He's completely correct. He's completely correct. This speech should have never been criminalized. And the fact that it is criminalized is diabolical. And that's what makes his jokes edgy.
They have to hide because
Thanks for the subs, Shadow.
can say on your show, well, I'm personally against Holocaust denial laws, yet they still persist and the social consequences still persist. And I think that that is the anomaly. And people have to wonder, okay, why is it that way? And what I said in that clip is the reason the Holocaust casts a long shadow is because it confers a political benefit upon organized Jewry. That is what they always fall back on. They cannot be criticized. They cannot be named. They cannot be talked about lest there be another Holocaust. And no other tragedy is treated that way. And no other ethnic group has a get out of jail free card. Just play that. Anti-Semitism and Holocaust. You can do whatever you want and defend all your actions. That's
no, the reality is though, you've probably watched my videos for a bit if you're here right now watching me now. I've made over 1,000 videos. I don't think you've ever heard me use anti-Semitism or the Holocaust as like a get out of jail free card, literally ever. I don't think you've ever seen me ever do that, literally ever. And in fact, I don't even know any Jews that do it. The only people that do it are like the big organizations, like the APAC, the ADL. It's like, it's literally all like the super large Jew organizations that try to get easy wins, or Netanyahu when he goes on Fox News. It's always those guys. It's not, on an individual level, it doesn't exist. And the reason for that is because the individual Jews don't feel that way. They really don't. It's only the big organizations that feel like it's an easy win. And it's mostly the woke retards that do it. The reality is, Netanyahu's a smart man. Yeah, I know. The Holocaust thing worked for a long time. Netanyahu's a genius. No, that's for sure. But the reality is, like, even my grandfather, for example, my grandfather is a Holocaust survivor. His entire family was killed. He never, ever looked at himself as a victim. Never. Never. He worked his ass off when he immigrated to America. He built a beautiful family. He has grandkids and great-grandkids, and he's built a legacy. You know, he really has. 100 years old, happy guy, goes through life, you know, religious, prays to God every day, thanks God to be alive and for his family. He's never had, like, the victim mentality. And the reality is, most people I know don't. But the broad scale organizations, they all do it for like some easy wins. They're like, wait a second, I see the black community talking about how slavery happened, so therefore we need reparations. Why don't we do that with the Holocaust? And the reality is, it's cringe as fuck, and I hate when they do it. I really do. We absolutely shouldn't forget that it happened. We absolutely shouldn't forget that that this atrocity did and in fact occur. But I am not a victim. Absolutely not.
That's the part that people are getting upset with. That's the problem.
I don't know any right-minded person who believes that Jewish people weaponized the Holocaust for their own personal get-out.
The ADL does it. The ADL does it. That's the crazy. It's a radical left organization, the Anti-Defamation League, and they do it all the time. Every single time. They do it all the time. And it's unbelievably cringe. And I hate it every single time. Because honestly, it waters down the Holocaust. To compare any, like, in my opinion, it's the other way around. Every single time I see one of these big organizations, like the ADL, for example, being like, some guy said a slur against Jews, this is going to cause another Holocaust. Every single time I see something like that, the first thing that pops into my mind is, how dare you compare someone saying a slur to the Holocaust? How could you dare do that, bro? And it's difficult. It really is.
Out of jail free or whatever you called it.
You don't know anyone that does that? That believes that?
I'm sure there are some people that do that, but it's such a ridiculous generalization. You know, the truth is that most Jewish people have lost relatives in the Holocaust. In fact, I want to play you two clips. One is where you talk about Adolf Hitler.
No, Piers, you suck.
Hitler was a pedophile
my God.
and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool. So, you know, time to grow up. We're not children anymore. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right, boys? Am I right? Let's go. He was also really fucking cool.
I can't believe Piers Morgan is so pathetic that he's doing this, man. Like, this is unbelievable.
You regret saying that?
Saying a fact? No, that's absolutely true.
Oh, God,
You think
dude.
Hitler was very fucking cool?
Yes, I do.
One of the
And I'm tired of pretending he's not,
Well,
to be honest.
See, I think Hitler was pathetic. Man started a war that he lost, and he ended up wiping out his entire country. I think Hitler was gigantically pathetic. But all right, I guess opinion. Everyone has the right to an opinion. To be fair, his speeches were fire. That's true. His speeches were insane.
This is the problem, you see. It's a bit like when you just say, I'm a racist. You're a racist who thinks Hitler's cool, but you're not anti-Semitic. If you're a Jewish person watching this, what are they thinking? I'll tell you
Like, the dude did have aura, but he was a gigantic loser.
what they're thinking. Because I've got a friend of mine called Danny Finkelstein, who, when he heard I was interviewing you, he's a Times journalist in the UK, very eminent journalist here, and author, who wrote a book about his own family's experiences at the hands of Hitler and Stalin, because he also told Tucker Carlson that you admire Stalin. But listen.
Good artist. He was a terrible artist. What do you mean? Bro lost a war miserably. He destroyed his entire country. To be fair, I think a lot of the radical, like, leftist talking points, like, that a lot of people have, like, the open border shit, a lot of this is a complete pendulum swing because of Hitler. I think this man didn't just fuck Germany. I think this man fucked the entire Western civilization. Because everyone's like, oh, oy vey, another Holocaust is gonna happen. Then they opened the fucking borders. All right? This motherfucker destroyed Western civilization. I think he was a nightmare. He was pathetic. Like, unbelievably pathetic. You know? Like, bro, lost a war, killed himself. He wanted an Aryan race, an Aryan nation or whatever. So what happened? He created the ultimate multicultural cesspool. Hitler was pathetic, but he had aura. His speeches were fire. That's fair.
Let's just take what Danny said here.
Hi Piers, it's
Oh my
David
God, what
Ingles.
is-
As you're interviewing Nick Fuentes, you might try suggesting to him that he reads my book, Hitler, Stalin, Mum and Dad. It's called Two Roads Home in the United States. Since he says he's on Team Hitler, you might like to ask him about the fact that Hitler arrested my mum, tried to starve my mum to death, did starve my...
Is he really like trying to bring out like sad Jew stories? Like he's really gonna bring out sad Jew stories to change his opinion? Like this might work on a feminist that has a degree in gay sex. All right, from Chicago University, but like this is the like. See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Like, engage with the talking points. What is this trauma dump bullshit?
My grandmother to death, sent my great aunt to the gas chamber, my great uncle, cousin.
And don't get me wrong, it's terrible. It's tragic. Again, I lost my entire extended family in the Holocaust. My grandfather is the lone survivor of his entire family. Like as an example, it was an unbelievable nightmare. But like, what are you doing?
My grandmother on my father's side ended up being one out of 7 children, the only one that survived the war. So you might ask him whether he wouldn't rather be on Team Mum rather than Team Hitler. And as for celebrating Stalin's birthday, well, Stalin took my father, sent him to a state collective farm, sent my grandmother and my to a state collective farm, sent my grandfather to the Gulag. You might try asking why he doesn't celebrate Dad's birthday rather than Stalin's. It may all be a big joke to him, but he complains that he was 18 when someone tried to cancel him. Well, Stalin and Hitler arrested my mum and my dad when they were 10 years old. So perhaps he might like to reconsider his joke.
See, that's the reality
God, dude,
of...
This is pathetic, man. This is so pathetic. Like, yeah, Hitler and Stalin were both unbelievably... They were monsters. They were monsters. Yes, true. They were horrible people. Like, what are we doing, bro?
Your jokes, although I haven't ascertained yet whether you are joking when you say that Hitler was very fucking cool. Are you joking, or do you actually think he was very fucking cool? The most genocidal monster of the last 150 years.
Yeah, the thing is, my generation, we're just done with the pearl clutching. You know,
yeah, you might be, but then your generation hasn't gone through what Danny Finkelstein's family went through. So maybe the pearl clutching has a way to go. The families whose family members
oh my gosh,
were murdered.
Yeah, we got all that. We, you know, me mom, like we're, you know, I don't even know who this person is. Why is this person talking to me? This old British guy is saying me mom got killed by Hitler.
Because he doesn't find it funny when you say Hitler's very fucking cool.
I don't care.
He finds
I don't care.
I know you don't care. That's fine. You don't have to care, but he does care.
Does that guy care about America? Does that guy care about me and my country and my family? No.
He cares what you, a prominent conservative in America, has to say about Adolf Hitler.
This is the saddest debate of all time. Pierce is like this guy's horrible, bro.
And what do you mean by Hitler is very fucking cool? Because I think he's very fucking a monster.
Oh my God.
And that's a clip. I think he's very fucking a monster. Do you hear yourself? Can we all grow up?
I do.
Can we all grow up? Childish.
He murdered 12 million people. What is very fucking cool
Yeah, he was
about
horrible. He was a horrible guy. Yeah, we know. He was horrible. But, like, it's the taboo. It's the edgy humor. He just doesn't understand edginess. This is so sad. I feel like you could really press Nick Fuentes on so many things. He has so many takes that are just so out there. Dude, what... If he doesn't ask why Nick Fuentes think that the Jews killed... He thinks the Jews killed JFK, and that the Jews did 9/11, and that the Jews control American policy. Like, get into the weeds on that stuff. Like, what are we even doing here? Like, come on.
Tell me.
I have a clip of an old guy who, like, lost people and now wants you to feel bad about it. Like, guys, stop. It's not gonna work.
The edits, it's just cool. The uniforms, the parades, it's cool as a guy. You look at World War II.
Not everyone is under 30 who thinks it's funny. It doesn't matter if you think it's funny. He has the right to say it. Yeah, it makes you feel like he's a shitty guy. So maybe he's a shitty guy. Like, what do we want past that? Like, I feel like this is such a unbelievable nothing. It's unreal.
And it's fascinating, and it's interesting, and it's compelling. And it's cool. And, you know, we're just tired of saying these kinds of things. We want to talk like real people and give our...
Nux is not going to go over well with actual adults. Bro, actual adults hate him. It's literally young men that like Nick. He is not going to lose one member of his audience because of this. In fact, he's probably going to gain a sizable audience because of this debate. All right? The boomers all hate him. The boomers all hate him anyway. Young men turn into adults? Yeah, well, we'll see.
Honest opinions, and then we literally get an
this isn't moving the needle anywhere.
Old Jewish guy from England who's going to say, "Oh, that's not very funny, mate. Me mom," and it's like, shut up. Like, you know, no one is in favor of genocide, so let's just get that out of the way. We're not in favor of a Holocaust or genocide.
Do you think if half your family had been wiped out by very fucking cool Hitler, you'd still think he was very fucking cool? Or would you think that actually he was a despicable monster who murdered 12 million people, who targeted people because they were disabled or Jewish or Romani Gypsy, or whatever it may be? and that he systematically destroyed people, incinerated them in gas chambers. Do you think that you would find it?
Bro, the gas chambers didn't incinerate people, bro. They gassed people, then they incinerated them. Literally, what are we doing, bro?
Very fucking cool if your family had been through that? Or do you think you would
What is this emotional, like, fucking point that he's trying to make?
find it very fucking
Like, this is a giant virtue signal.
disgusting? And perhaps
It was horrible. Yes, he was terrible. Genocide bad. He was horrible. The Holocaust was one of the worst atrocities in human history. All right, probably top 5 worst atrocities in human history. Okay, and?
the number of times you laugh about it, or want to joke about it, or want to abuse someone like Danny Finkelstein, who's written incredibly powerful books about what happened to his extended family at the hands of the Nazis and your other hero, Stalin. See, my point to you, Nick Fuentes, is that in parts of this interview, you try to come across as moderate, but every now and again, the mask slips. And it slipped again here with what you say about Hitler. There's nothing very fucking cool about
Not slipping. He says it openly. This is horrible, bro.
Hitler. We know that from history.
Why is he lecturing him?
Now, we know what he did. You've already conceded that he murdered at least 6 million Jews. So when you say he's very fucking cool, Jewish people watch this and go, this guy's disgusting.
Fuck. Pierce, don't you dare put words in my mouth. Pierce, keep your fucking words out of... You shut your whore mouth, Pierce. I watch this and I think you are unbelievably pathetic. And Nick Fuentes is making edgy jokes that, yeah, are obviously offensive. But, like, you've got to be kidding me, man. Like, what are we doing here?
Why would he say this?
Like, this is male Karen energy for real.
It's about someone who perpetrated such an evil. And what's the real answer? Why do you? Is it just for clicks? Is it for money? Is it just for fun? For shits and giggles? What is it? What motivates
it's
you?
Probably for fun, honestly. I feel like it's just for fun, yeah.
To say something like Hitler was very fucking cool.
It's for this. It's for all of this. And the lack of self-awareness is amazing. You're a boomer.
Yeah, it's the Piers Morgan crash out that makes him enjoy it. Like, if you wouldn't crash out and you just be like, okay, you're weird, I don't want to talk to you, you would destroy him. Piers Morgan would absolutely destroy Nick Fuentes, would obliterate him. If he said, are you a racist, Nick? And Nick said yes. And he's like, well, that's all I wanted to hear today. That's pretty vile and gross. Okay, bye. And then he hangs up. That would have ended the entire thing.
You're a 60-year-old boomer, and we've spent maybe 3 minutes on you saying, he's a really fucking monster. He incinerated people. And I'm sitting here saying it's not that serious. It's not that deep. And
Serious. Not that serious.
Do you want to say
Oh
more
my God, he's not talking about that the Holocaust isn't serious. It's that his jokes aren't serious.
about...
You're not a kid yourself anymore. You're not a teenager.
I know.
Right?
I know.
You're nearly 30. To be clear,
Yeah,
okay? You're a
I
fully
know.
formed adult
Oh, this is
who has a
terrible,
brain,
man.
right? And at some stage, that brain has taken you off these
Is
rabbit
this an
warrens.
interview or is this a lecture? Can I respond to what you're saying?
I want you
in
to
full?
I want you to explain why you think it's fine to say how fucking cool Hitler is, and to
Why you think it's fine? Why do you think it's fine to have an opinion? It's not a nice opinion, but that's his opinion anyway. Like, what? Yeah, you're right. I personally think Hitler was a monster and also terrible and also pathetic as fuck. I think he was like unbelievably pathetic. He obliterated all of Western civilization. That guy was horrible for sure, for real. Killed a lot of Jews. It was terrible. It was an unbelievable atrocity. It was for sure. But he made a joke. Pierce, why are you gay?
dismiss the very powerful 90 seconds from a British journalist who lost a lot of family members to the Nazis in such a callous, dismissive manner.
I don't think it's powerful. I think we've been hearing that our entire lives, okay? The Schindler's List. Let's just be honest. The propaganda is over the top. We have been in America.
What about
and
the Schindler's
everywhere-
List?
Hey,
Tell me
now,
about
can
the
I
Schindler's
respond?
List. Well, tell me about the Schindler's List.
I'll tell you about it. We have been browbeaten as a people, as Americans, as Westerners, for our entire lives. And do you know what this has done? It has taken away any sense of pride, any sense of love for our own civilization. We have been made the villain in our own story. We have been made because, well, let's just be clear. It doesn't begin and end with Hitler is a monster. This has been the political narrative, which is why we have thrown...
To be fair, Schindler's List was like an unbelievably good movie. But anyway, moving on.
Open the borders. This is a political narrative, which is why we can't be a conservative society as a whole anymore, why we can't be proud of Europeans, why we can't be proud of being Christian, because they've told us if you're too white and too proud and too Christian, it's going to lead to a Holocaust. And so,
yeah, but who's they? He uses they referring to the Jews, when the reality is the vast majority of the they in this situation is white women. It's really a feminism issue. And I know he's going to say that there were Jews that were involved in the feminism movement. That's because there are Jews everywhere. Because Jews are overly studious, overly educated, smart people that get involved everywhere. But the reality is, this is so much more of a white liberal woman issue, in my opinion. And like this consistent, like, self-beating, self-flagellating society that's pathetic in the West. And I guess Nick blames it on Jews, but blaming it on Jews is honestly naive.
Well, my generation, our
what a
entire
crock
lives.
of- honestly,
no,
Nick
it's true,
Fuentes,
and that's why
what
Pete,
a
that's why I'm popular, because this is bullshit.
Shit. Honestly,
yeah, it's a crock.
what
We
you
don't want to
just
hear
said-
anymore
what you
about
just
me
said-
mom and me dad.
What
That's
you
a crock
just
of shit.
no, listen. What you just said is a crock of shit. And you
It's
know
true.
it.
It's
And
called the open society.
In your gut, you know it is. You weaponize
No,
this stuff.
you know.
You weaponize this stuff for money, but you know when you say something
please.
like what
Oh
you
my
just said.
god, bro. It's for money. It's for money. Oh my god, dude. Bro's banned on every platform. It's not for money.
From banking.
You
I'm
know
banned
it-
from banking and credit cards. You know who you're talking to? I do it for money.
and by the
How
way-
much money you
and by
make?
the
Your
way,
company's
shouldn't-
$100 million. Your company's worth $100 million. I was banned from Bank of America.
And you
I'm
shouldn't have
banned from
been.
processing credit cards.
And you shouldn't have been.
But I am. So don't tell me I'm doing it for money.
Well, ask me my opinion about that. I'll tell you shouldn't have been. Right? I don't agree with that.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's
don't
nothing to
say-
do with the fact that he's not doing it for money.
I'm doing it for money because you know that full well, and you say it's a
How
grift.
much money- how
If
many
I'm
are
to be
you-
a grifter, I'd be like you.
How
And
much
I would
money
go
are,
and say,
how much money are you making?
I'm making a lot of money now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm the #1 live streamer in America, because people agree with me more than they agree with you. We're tired of hearing about slavery and the Holocaust and Jim Crow. We're done hearing about that. You guys owe
I'm
your
done
hand.
hearing about that.
Okay, well, you know, your generation's on the way out. He's coming up, and we're finished with that.
Oh,
We'll
boy.
take our
You
country
know,
back.
I've got three
Not
sons.
wrong.
I've got
Crime
three sons.
minority.
I've got 3 sons, and they don't share your views about
Yeah, well,
slavery.
Yeah,
and
but they're in England, so they're literally part of like a fascist society, bro. Bro, your grandchildren will be paying the Dimmy tax. Okay, get out of here.
about the Holocaust. They can have decency and compassion and humanity about some of the worst things that have happened in the last 150 years or more.
Sound like girls.
They can do that, and they can also have concerned views about issues like immigration and other issues. The two things are not mutually incompatible. You can have different views about different things. It's your lack of humanity and compassion for people about things like the Holocaust, about slavery. It's that people find so contemptible. And I don't understand why you need to do that.
Bro, I don't understand why this is like a lecture. Like, why is he lecturing him the whole time? It's like, this is why people hate you. He knows why people hate him.
Again, I just ask you, is your motivation financial? Is your motivation for fun? What is the motivation for saying these outlandish things, which you don't need to say, and which I suspect, I don't know, I suspect a lot of it is performative. So what is the motivation?
I'm an iconoclast. The Holocaust is not my religion, and it is treated like a religion. It is treated like a religion with dogma, with blasphemy laws, and that secular religion says, and you say that's a crock of shit. It's intentional. It's called The Open Society by Karl Popper. It's by these architects of the liberal order after World War II. They got together and they said, how can we make sure that Hitler never happens? How can we make sure that totalitarianism never happens again? And they came up with a consensus, which is that we need to take down nations, religions, fathers, the authoritarian personality. We need to be empathetic and altruistic. We need to be diverse and pluralistic. And that experiment is
He's right. And this is like the radical left ideology today. He's correct. He's correct. And this is what bred feminism, and this is what bred all that degenerate shit. Absolutely.
working. And I'll tell you the truth right now, and you can laugh at this, you can scoff at this. Our people are being genocided in our country. 50% of the live births in the United Kingdom and in the United States are non-white. In 100 years, my ancestors, your kids who are so empathetic and compassionate, they're going to be a minority. They're going to be a minority in maybe a Muslim country, an Indian country, an Hispanic country. And these Jewish people that are 100 years old talking about my grandparents and the Holocaust, they don't care about that. Actually, they like to see it. At the SPLC, they're literally counting down the days until whites are a minority in America. So forgive me if I don't believe them when they talk about compassion. There's a genocide going on right now. It's not against the
How many
Jews.
Christians are there?
It's
How
against
many
whites.
Christians are there in the world? Like me and
1
you.
point some billion,
Yeah,
2 billion. I don't know.
How many Jews are there?
15 million.
Okay. So with a straight face, you're going to tell me the world is being overrun by the Jewry, by 15 million people, when there are over 1 billion
Oh my
Christians.
God,
There
dude.
is a genocide of Christians like poor old Nick Fuentes going on at the hands of these 15 million Jews. Really?
See, this attitude is why you're losing. When you say
Who am I
poor old
losing
white
to?
people,
Who
these
am I
poor-
losing?
Bro, it's obviously okay. Listen, it's obviously not a giant Jewish genocide of Christians going on in the world. I feel like that interpretation is diabolical. It really is. It is definitely a left ideology. It is a far left ideology, an anti-God, anti-Bible ideology. That I completely agree with. That's out here destroying religion in general. Dude, you know how many Jews are no longer, are still ethnically Jewish, but are no longer religiously Jewish because of this woke bullshit that's sucking people in and spitting them out? So yeah, no, I agree. And it's super destructive.
old white people.
Who am I losing to?
You're seeing it. Mass migration. You're losing to me. We are losing as a civilization of mass migration. And here's the difference. In Israel, they have my politics. In Israel, they...
I told you Shlomo Fuentes was on our side. That's what I'm talking about. I told you Shlomo Fuentes was here with me because Israel is an ethnic state, sort of. Obviously, it's not apartheid, despite what they say. 22% of the population is Muslim, Arab. But the reality of the matter is the following. They put Jews first. That's right. They put Jews first, baby. And it is the only Western culture, civilization, if you want to call it that the birth rate is actually up. That's right. The birth rate is up. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. Now, my biggest complaint with Israel is that it's too secular. Israel needs to get a little more conservative ASAP. That's right. But no, Israel, I'm just saying. Nick Fuentes, he's an Israel supporter in his heart. He just doesn't know it.
They want to maintain a Jewish majority. If they had it their way, it would only be Jewish people. They're fighting like hell so that Jewish people can have as much territory, a Jewish state. They can be proudly Jewish in their own land.
Bro's jealous of the Jews. He's jealous of the Jews, man. I'm not gonna lie. He just wishes America was for Christians what Israel is for Jews. And honestly, I don't blame you. Israel's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Whereas in America, we are being besieged by 10 million...
Wait, did he say the Jews are trying to expand? Yeah, no, the Jews aren't trying to expand right now. I didn't hear him say that, but no, they're not trying to expand right now.
Legal immigrants in 4 years, and then whites and Christians are going to be the minority. And that's true in Canada, Australia, all the countries in Europe. So you could say there's 2 billion people, but what's the proportionality? What is the percentage of people being born that are white? Where's the arrow pointing? Where are we going to be in 50 years? In 50 years, there might be in Israel. In 50 years, there isn't Christendom.
You don't believe people should get married, right?
What?
I think people should get married. I'm a Christian.
But you're basically anti-marriage, really. You've talked about this.
Huh?
You've talked about...
Are we done talking about white genocide?
Well,
and
I'm coming to the same
Oh,
point.
he's going to the next talking point. Oh, he ran out of Jew clips, so he's moving on to women clips. Oh, that's pathetic, man.
Because you seem very resistant to the idea of marriage. You've never got married. You talk very scathingly about
I'll take Nux. This is America. Yeah, absolutely. He wants America to be what Israel is for Jews. He wants America to be with that for white Christians. Absolutely.
husbands. Just take a look.
That's true.
Guys get to a certain age and they're like, you know what? Women suck. Like, they're talking too much. They're not hot anymore. Like, you're fat, you're chubby, you're not as hot as you think you are. You fucking talk too much, you're a bitch.
So we'll obviously get to the brazen...
I mean, I feel like that's, again, this is hyperbole. He's a Catholic. He obviously believes in marriage. Like, what are we doing, man?
Misogyny part of that a little later. But I'm just curious. On the one hand, there's this terrible genocide going on of white people. On the other hand, you want people effectively to stop going near women because they all turn out to be so ghastly, so they shouldn't presumably procreate. So
I do think Nick needs to fight for a marriage, fight for marriage more. Again, maybe he's gay, who knows? I know that's one of the allegations everyone throws around all the time, but I don't believe it. Shlomo Fuentes would never fuck another man. That said, I feel like the reality is, get married, have children, build a beautiful legacy. Absolutely.
How does that work? I mean, aren't you, with your rhetoric, actively encouraging men not to associate with these ghastly women, therefore not have any more children?
Bro, does he think making fun of women is automatically telling men never to get married? Like, Piers Morgan was only in the gay locker room. They never let him in the actual men's locker room. Like, bro, dude, you've never heard, like, a group of guys just sitting around and making fun of women or whatever? And women do that for men, by the way. You get a bunch of women around the table talking about how men are so, like, cringe and stuff. It happens. Yes, it happens. That's, like, classic gossip bullshit. Like, come on, dude.
Therefore, you are contributing, Nick Fuentes, to the diminishing white population. I'm confused.
I tell my followers to get married all the time. I tell them that it's best for everybody to get married. And I think that's the only way that you can have sex. I think that's the only licit way as a Catholic, as you know, that is within marriage.
Why don't you get married?
I'll get married later. It's been difficult for me because people are shooting at me at my house. I don't know that I don't want to have kids and a wife. You know, my wife would be screaming about that. Me, you know, I have to be able to take risks and be able to say these things. It's difficult to bring a family into a life that's like that. But for my followers...
And that's why I'm a VTuber. I, thank God, have a family. Thank God. And I try my best to keep myself anonymous. I get him. I get an unbelievable amount of death threats. I've been swatted. I've been doxxed. I've gotten through it. I've had to move multiple times. I totally get it. He's totally right. I mean, that said, I still think you should get married. I still think you should get married. Absolutely, get married. Get married. Build a family. Have children. God will protect you. For real, for real. That's your duty. Be fruitful and multiply. I do believe that.
followers, I tell them to get married. But what's happening with women?
You literally just told hang on, in that clip, you literally told followers, women, they get old, they get fat, they get ugly, they get very annoying. So where's the incentive to get married to women? There isn't one. You're actively telling them the opposite.
You're extrapolating.
Just quoting you back yourself again.
No, but you're extrapolating and saying, well, you say women are annoying, so therefore, what's the incentive? We have to do it in spite of the fact that they are annoying. We have to do it in spite of the fact that they talk.
He really thinks marriage is like, marriage is this unbelievable hurdle. Bro, marriage is awesome. It's awesome. It's becoming a new person under God. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I really wish Nick Fuentes would see that. I want him to get married. I want him to get married because I do think some of his views would change. The reality is when you find the person that makes you whole, it lights your entire life up. It creates a completely different world. It really does. It's a blessing. It absolutely is. Unless you marry like a vindictive bitch, in which case not so much. But the reality is you marry someone, you know, traditional, good old-fashioned marriage under God. It changes your life. It changes your lifestyle. It changes your priorities. It makes you a better person. Absolutely. And it's the best thing ever.
Not too much. We can get them to lose weight. We can put them on peptides. We can get them to the promised land. But it's going to be
Do you think this view of women may why none of them want to go near you?
Oh, you should see my DMs. It is quite the opposite. They're called the Groy Bets, and I'm actually batting them away. Granted, not all of them are attractive. Some of them are attractive.
Are you actually? Just to clear up one of the many theories about you, I have no idea what the answer is, and you haven't got to answer. But are you actually attracted to women?
I am attracted to women.
You're not gay?
No.
Piers, please ask him about the hack. Ask him about the Israeli hack. So one of my favorite bits of Nick Fuentes lore is that after he finished stream once, apparently he ended up accidentally playing gay porn on his computer for like 15 minutes after his stream, and then he turned it off, and then he blamed it on the Israeli intelligence unit 8200. And he was like, bro, they hacked my computer. They put gay porn on my computer to discredit me. So I personally hope he asks. That would be amazing.
But I will say that women are very difficult to be around. Okay. So there's that.
And do you think they should have the right to vote?
Bro, he's not asking about the hack. That was funny.
I do not. No, absolutely not.
They should stay at home?
He's just saying it. All right.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
So basically, you're just a misogynist old dinosaur, aren't you? For a young guy. Yeah. I mean, I know I'm the boomer. I know I'm the boomer here. But actually, you're a 27-year-old dinosaur, aren't you? Aren't you, Nick Fuentes? All women. I am. All women are annoying. All women grow old. They all get.
I love how believing in like old school values makes you a dinosaur. It's like, bro, Piers, dude, you just said you're a Catholic. You're following some dinosaur of a religion.
Get fat. Says the guy. Have you ever had sex?
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Says the guy who's never got laid.
Bro, he's not married. What are you? I thought you were a Christian. I thought you were a Catholic. Wait, hold up. Well, I thought you were a Catholic. You're calling him a virgin, bro? Isn't that supposed to be like a good thing? Isn't that supposed to be honorable? So much for your values. What is this?
Wow. That's the thing, though. You boomers, it's like free love.
Given you've never got laid?
Yeah, we are going back to the Stone Age. You're absolutely right.
He's a Christian. This is so sad. Oh my God, this poor bastard.
You know, you're talking about empathy, and your kids are empathetic, and they would never.
Bro, I can't believe Nick didn't jump on him for that. I can't believe he didn't jump on him for that. Doesn't that just prove he's actually a devout Christian? I don't necessarily know if he's a devout Christian in any way, but in this regard, he is. Piers, you're supposed to be a Catholic. What, is chastity just not a thing anymore? Holy.
Or laugh at a joke about the Holocaust and you're a misogynist. You're a simp yourself. You're totally henpecked. That's the problem. So
let me play another clip of yours about women.
A lot of women want to be raped. And when I say raped, I mean like, that sounds bad when I say it like that. But there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them. But also they have to pretend, but part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
You think women want to...
I mean, we've all seen the Minotaur book, okay? We've all seen the Minotaur book. I'm not gonna lie, all right, that it's a popular fantasy. In fact, if you go to Barnes & Noble, all right, you will see an entire fucking smut genre literally caking the walls of 50 Shades of Grey and worse.
Want to be raped, do you?
That's what the studies show, Piers. That is what these statistics say.
But that's what you believe,
They have fantasies. They have fantasies about it.
Yeah, obviously they don't actually get raped in real life, but they do have, like, the fantasy is obviously popular.
I don't think that they want to actually get raped, but there's a study out there. Get ready for this. It says 62% of women have rape fantasies. And if you read anything that they're reading, if you watched what they're watching, what do you think 50 Shades of Grey is about? What do you think Twilight is about? I mean, that's just true.
You think women want to have the shit beaten out of them, as you said?
Yeah, and it's very disturbing, but it's true.
Do you think your views on women might change if you actually ever had a relationship with one or had sex and actually had a proper relationship. I mean, people say the reason you're so angry about women is you're basically an incel.
I'm not angry about it.
You sound very angry. You sound very, very angry about women.
What are you, a therapist?
I'm
passionate. It's an issue
You're
I'm passionate about.
You're sounding very bitter about women, as if women have done a terrible disservice to you. But when? You don't have relationships, you don't have sex. When are they doing these terrible things to you that's made you so hateful towards women? I'm really curious.
I don't think that was a hateful clip. I think I was laughing. I said they want men to beat the shit out of them. And that's just true. I mean, when you look at the state of modern women, all they do is lay in their bed, doom scroll, they're chilling out. They're getting a little fat. It is what it is. I don't know what the average weight is, but they're getting a little heavy. And any guy that is playing the field these days will tell you that. And I know a lot of the Chads. I am an incel. I'm friends with a lot of Chads like Bradley Martin, Clavicular. They agree with me. You know, there's sort of like this alliance between the guys that don't have sex and the guys that get the most sex. We know what women are about. It's the guys in the middle. Guys like you in the middle. It's the beta male orbiters that say, she's amazing, you're a misogynistic pig. Because I don't know what that is. I guess
come on, let me explain to you what I think it is. I think when a 27...
the therapist is here.
...year-old guy who's never got laid, never had a meaningful relationship with a woman.
Why does he keep saying never got laid like it's an insult when he's literally calls himself a devout Christian? He calls himself a Christian. He never got laid. Isn't that, like, honorable? Like, this is pathetic, man. Like, this is honestly pathetic.
Says that women shouldn't be allowed to vote. They should stay at home. That all they do is fantasize about being raped and being beaten up. That's what they want.
He's not telling them that they should fantasize about it. That's not what he said.
That they're annoying, that they get fat, that they get ugly. That's a misogynist. Now, you may not understand it because your knowledge of women is so incredibly tiny, but actually, you are the embodiment of a misogynist. It couldn't be clearer. And if I was, in a way, you have the deep-rooted misogyny of some of the actual boomers I know. Yet here you are, 27 years old. And most of the current studies show...
Look, I know that he's, like, you know, saying, like, you think like boomers. All right, let's be real. In the days of your grandparents, what was the divorce rate? What was the divorce rate 50 years ago? 10%? Now the divorce rate is 60%. It's almost like they had it right. Now, I don't think that, like, obviously, women were abused, all right? The fact is, beating your wife is completely and utterly unacceptable. It's unacceptable in any metric, obviously, and it wasn't criminal in many areas, and that's disgusting. But there were actual families that had children. There were actual families that got married and stayed married and had children and worked out their differences, all right? And not anymore. So, like... You could sit here and you could grandstand and you could talk about how you think like boomers. Well, the boomers are the ones that actually had functional relationships.
A lot of men are really disenfranchised from society, no longer have physical relationships with women if they've ever had them, never associate with women, and build up instinctively misogynist views about women. And I fear you're in that position. You're just a bit of a lonely guy who wants to get laid. Can't, for whatever reason. And it's made you bitter about women. And I don't know where that's come from, but it's fascinating.
No. See, here's the thing. First of all, you're very caught up in the labels. It's always, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're nothing to me. Oh, hang on, can I respond?
You gave yourself the label.
What is this?
You said, I am a racist. I didn't give you the label.
Okay.
You said, Nick Fuentes, I am a racist.
Calm down.
Did you or didn't you?
It's okay.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
here's
I didn't give you the label. You did.
Why are you yelling at me?
Because you're trying to do something that didn't happen. You said, I gave you the label of being a racist. No, you said, I'm a racist.
Again, I think Nick has really naive views about women, to be fair, and I think that's because he's not married, to be honest. And I think marriage changes you. It changes your perspective on the world. That's true, to be fair. I actually believe that. But he is right about a lot of what he's saying, and that's just objective fact.
You gave yourself a label.
You're going to have to tone it down a little, all right? You're going to have to bring it down a notch and relax.
Isn't Piers divorced? Hold on, I'm trying to figure it. Hold on. Again, unfortunately, there's a lot of divorces these days, but I'm pretty sure Piers is divorced. So, like, yeah, thanks, man. We're going to take marriage counseling from you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Is Piers Morgan married? I'm pretty sure he's divorced. Oh, yes, he is married. He's married to Celia Walden, she kept her last name. A British journalist and author since 2010. They share a daughter. Wait, what? Instagram posts and articles referred to her as his current wife. Bro, what the fuck does that mean? His current wife? Yikes. All right. That's interesting. Has he been divorced? Just out of curiosity. Yes, he was divorced once. All right. Anyway.
This is just an interview, okay? Please calm down. All I said is you're hung up. I didn't say you gave me that. Maybe I did.
You did.
But here's what I mean. What I mean is you're just hung up on proving you're okay. You're a racist. Oh.
I'm so sorry. I'm stopping this again. Bro, I thought he was a Catholic. Catholics don't get divorced, right? Am I mixing up my Christian denominations here? He just literally said he was a Catholic. I thought Catholics can't get divorced. Bro, what is going on? So let me get this straight. So this is a Catholic guy who divorced his wife, who married a new wife after divorcing the first one, and now is calling out Nick for being a virgin. Like, bro, what is happening?
Okay, you deny the Holocaust, and I'm not about the labels, man.
You didn't deny
I'm
the
just
Holocaust.
past that.
As I said to you, look, Nick, I just wanted to go over the stuff that everyone uses out there about you, and get you to respond. And we are getting, I think, a long way in this interview. Right?
Okay.
You didn't deny the Holocaust.
Dude, we did not get any way. It's so sad. Bro, dude, this is backfiring so badly.
You accepted there's been a Holocaust of at least 6 million Jews.
I'm a maximalist. I'm a Holocaust.
That is significant. You did admit you're a racist, and you have spelled out a thought process about women, which is the purest definition of misogyny that I've ever seen. And you've said you're not gay. So we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. Well, look, and I own the labels, okay? But I just don't care that much about them.
That's fine.
I feel like the whole.
I'm not saying
this is like a weird.
I'm not saying you have to care. You don't have to care about any of it. I promise you. Right? That's not why I got you on the show. I wanted to give you a fair crack, which I think I have. We've gone over a lot of stuff. We've got a bit more to go on. I genuinely don't think I've ambushed you with anything you couldn't have been expecting.
No.
I don't think I've been overtly hostile. In fact, when you've asked me to calm down, I've calmed down. I don't want to have a hostile, angry, shouty match with you. I simply want you to spell out.
He's out here, in his mind, he's like, holy shit, I got him to admit he's a racist. Holy shit, I got him to admit he's a racist and a misogynist. I'm winning this one, mates. I'm going to go to the pub after and everyone's going to be like, wow, Piers, you got a guy that says black people need to go to jail. You got him to admit he's racist, Piers. That's crazy. And he's like, I know, it's my hard-hitting journalistic integrity, mate.
Exactly what you've meant about all these things, and people can
I even calmed down when he asked.
Be the judge of them. So let's take another break, and we'll come back and talk about Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and others.
Okay, I don't care about any of that. I just wanted to hear like what he's actually going to talk about in his own opinions. Like he's going to ask him of all of his opinions about other people so he can farm clips. I don't give a shit. Yeah, so that's where we're going to wrap this up. This was covering all the topics, all the racism, the misogyny, and the anti-Semitism stuff. And you know the scariest part? Piers Morgan didn't engage in a single piece of conversation the entire time. It was all clip farming. It was literally all just trying to get him with gotcha clips. He did not engage in a single actual argument himself. Not even one. He just accused him of random shit, and I'll be honest, this made Nick look good. I'll be honest, this interview made Nick look good. This is a diabolical downfall. It's crazy. Crazy. Now, again, I obviously disagree with Nick's prescription that Jews are the giant nemesis of the universe, but I'll be real, Piers didn't even push him on that. You know, he didn't even push him. And to be clear, I'm not offended about any of the shit. I don't care. He has the right to his opinion. He can say whatever he wants. This is America. It's a free country. Thank God. You can say literally whatever he wants. But yeah, anyway, so that was this. This was unbelievable. Piers Morgan's such a fucking cuck. It's unbelievable. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Maybe if the Christian nationalists can keep fighting, they could turn America for white Christians into what Israel is for Jews. Just a special shout out to Special Emo, Shlomo Fuentes, for making today possible. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.